morning, TFR.
Good morning.
Good morning.
It is Tuesday, my dudes.
Hi, this is Alan. I like Ironworx because it's where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came.
I love Ironworx with Josh, Walt, and Zach. It's like sitting in your front room having a cosy chat with your best friends.
Hi, it's Diva here, and I just want you to know that Ironworx with Josh, Walt, and Zach, it's definitely my favourite dose of reality. Come join the family and keep it flat.
Why sleep in when you could get your dose of iron in the morning? Listen to the Ironworx on TFR.
This is Enlightened Dawn. Roses are red, violets are blue. Iron Realm Media is the best on the plane. To this show, I will forever be true. You guys are truly the best, and I love you guys. I'm so thankful to have you in my life.
Do you like listening to space letters from Never a Straight Answer? Then tune in to The Ironworx with Zach, Walter, and Josh. Break clear of the fear on the Ironworx and become an Iron Scout.
Well, happy Tuesday, everybody. Welcome to the Ironworx right here on the Iron Rail Media YouTube channel, because it would appear that the studio doesn't want to pick up over there on truthfrequencyradio.com, tfrlive.com. So we may be broadcasting sans TFR this morning. But welcome. Let's say hello to the fellas, starting off with Mr. Walter Johnson, also known as Flat Earth Head, here on the YouTubes. Walter, how are you doing, sir?
We shall see. Good morning, Josh. Good morning, Zach. Good morning, mystery person who we won't reveal just yet. Of course, I guess you see him. But anyway, we're here. It's crazy. I've already had bad internet problems this morning, so we'll see how it goes. So I go from bad internet to us not getting in the studio. So it's Tuesday, my dudes.
It is Tuesday, my dudes. It does seem to be like maybe one of those days.
Yeah. Well, I guess we just had too good of a Friday, and they got to take some of it back. So, because we had a blast Friday.
I was going to say that may be the case, because we did have a really good show on Friday.
Here Friday morning, it was amazingly great, and we continued that on into the Friday evening. We had Billy Zig over there, and it was pretty phenomenal. Great conversation. Go check it out if you haven't. All right, that's enough early promo, and I'll shut up and see what these other guys are doing.
Yeah, let's see. Let's talk to Mr. Zachary Zabala, someone you may know as Good Times for All on YouTube. Zach, how are you doing, sir?
Hey, Josh. Hey, Walt. Hey, everybody out there, and I guess everywhere but TFR land.
That's it.
Yeah, not a bad weekend. Got the first garden bed done. Felt good. Got it filled with some leaves now. Just waiting on more lumber. And I'll get cracking on the next one.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
How big are these? These are pretty good sized beds, too, yeah?
Yeah, there's a 10 by 5 and a 16 by 5.
Yeah, that's a pretty good sized bed. 16 by 5. That's a lot of garden.
Well, yeah, if you're from Indiana, it's not so much that much, you know. But yeah, it'd be bigger, but it's, you know, on a big old slant. So we're going to do what we can do. There's going to be more garden along the fence and everything. We're going to have, you know, beans and peas and stuff like that growing on the poles and all that kind of good stuff. So yeah, there'll be more than just, I call them little, but yeah, they're nice size garden beds.
Well, that's
but yeah,
good.
they should have. Jaron is actually really excited.
Really?
I was
That's
taking
awesome.
him to school yesterday, and he was just like, "It's gonna be so cool being able to just go outside and grab food." Because he's never. I mean, he's from Denver. He was born there, grew up, spent his whole life there, and it's unless you're inside, it's hard to have a garden out there. That high elevation. I mean, they can get a frost in June, late June. They can get a frost in early September. So you don't really have, you know, a growing season. So coming out here, yeah, it's going to be a new experience. I'm excited. I can't wait. I hope he kind of catches a little bit of a bug in some sort of a way. I just want him to spend a little bit more time outside. He's not into the sports and stuff like that, so I don't even, we don't push any of that. He's amazing on a computer. And I'm not saying that he knows everything and doesn't have more to learn on computers or anything like that, but I just like him to expand his horizons a little bit and just get an interest into something besides computers. Just in case, something happens and all those computers just poof and are gone. It'll be a little bit easier of a transition, from having that thing that you're so good at to not having it. Maybe having a little something else will.
Well, I think Billy Zig nailed it on Friday night when he said that a lot of people are familiar with the saying, jack of all trades and master of none. But the full saying is it's better to be a jack of all trades and a master of none than to only be a master of one. So there's a lot to be said for being a savant when it comes to computers and technology. But you also want to be a little bit well-rounded to be able to at least function doing other things.
Well, yeah, because if you lose that one thing somehow,
Mm-hmm. If there's an EMP attack and there's no more computers, now what are you going to do?
Yep. So yeah, I'm just hoping to get him, just his interest broadened a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
More things to get excited about. But yeah, gardens are coming along. Probably going to hop over to Karen B's here pretty soon and start digging. I think I can do it. Now, when I was down there on the bottom of the hill where it's like rocks a couple inches down, it really discouraged me because I was like, man, I cannot dig through solid rock. It just doesn't work.
No, it's pretty difficult.
Yeah, digging up here on the hill, man, I could dig. And clay is different. Clay isn't like, I'm just going to stick a shovel down in here and pull out a big old, shovel full of clay. It's not like that. Clay, that little scraper I have is awesome. Or just go down with a downward striking motion, and it's just a flat, there's no curve to it. It's flat, and it's kind of shaped like a triangle with a point connected to your tip. And you just go and you scrape away at the side of the walls and then like pop it out. Kind of like the guy was doing when he was building those in-ground pools for the rich people, wherever they were. But yeah, the same technique. You just go through and you can make a straight wall. It's amazing with this clay stuff. So I'm getting excited again about Karen B's. It really discouraged me. Not thinking I was going to be able to build the in-ground garden there, but Ted was over there and he dug a 1-foot hole and said he found maybe a couple small little rocks, putting in a compost pile. I was like, well, shit, that sounds like it might be all right. So we're going to give it a shot.
Well, that'll be good. Nothing like growing your own food. It's better than printing your own money. Because you can't eat money. Well, you can, I guess. You get a little bit of fiber, but little else. So let's say hello to the fourth and final gentleman joining us this morning. Longtime friend of the show, Jonathan from Jersey. Jonathan, how in the hell are you doing, sir? It's like I can't keep up. It's like every time I open Facebook, there's something new going on with you.
What's all this talk about a 16 by 5 bed? How do you fit all the women in that bed? When you have a harem.
You stack them.
You stack them on top of yourself.
I like them short.
Oh, you like short women? There you go. That's an idea. I guess you could fit a lot of Incas in bed with you. What are you doing? What's this thing you're doing with sustainable living? Like everybody's living with you or something? I heard half of that. I was listening, and my brain was spinning.
No, I'm just building some garden beds for Bob and Cammie.
That's cool.
Their new place. Yeah, they've lived out in Denver, so they were never able to have. They had a little wildflower bed.
Right.
But they've never had a garden where you could actually go and make your own food.
So wait, where are you guys now? Where are they now?
South Carolina.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And he thought you were a fan
still
of this
fall
show.
here. It is like fall
What'd
here
you say?
still.
What'd you say, Walt?
I said, and here we thought you were a fan of this show.
I'm a fan of myself. That's about it.
Yes, sir. We got it.
There's
I'm
a
just giving
soundbite.
you crap early this morning, sir.
Nah, it's all good. Yeah, no, like Josh said, I'm in
definitely.
my own little world because I've been so busy.
Dude, you hit me up yesterday mid dentist visit with Michelle. So, and then by the time we got through and went and ate and came home after shopping, I forgot to call you back. So, my apologies right here publicly, sir.
I was literally nonstop yesterday. I got up at 5 a.m. I usually go to bed at like 3 o'clock, 2:30, 3, and get up at 5:30. It's just the way my body goes. But it was nonstop. I'll be on the phone with India, or I'll be doing something else, and yeah, it was a good day. But Josh is right. I made a couple moves. I think the last time I was on your show, I was up in Melbourne, Florida.
Yep.
Yes, you were.
And then I moved down to Fort Lauderdale, and that lasted a day.
Dude, reload already and is moving again.
And I literally, that was a fiasco. The guy I unloaded my whole effing truck. First of all, I only needed a van because I got so little with me, right? I'm traveling real zen. Then I started unloading my truck, and this guy's like, "Oh yeah, use the ramp. You can back right up here," and blah 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 blah. And I go into this house, and there's like one bedroom, and you know how they always take a picture and it looks bigger with the wide angle lens. So I'm like, I can't fit all my crap in here, but I start making arrangements to the bedroom, and he's like, "Yeah," he goes, "It's a little tight, but it's your room. You paid for it, and you're good. You could do whatever you want." The next morning, and I'm sitting there like thinking to myself, "Oh, I put myself in this position, but I'll honor my word. I'm a man of my word." And it's only a month. We were on a month lease, so I could always leave at the end, and find something better. So it was a landing, just to get down to Fort Lauderdale. And I'm praying, and all of a sudden this energy comes through. I'm looking in the mirror, and spirit comes through and says, "Don't worry, we got this." And I'm like, "What do you mean?" They said, "Trust us. Like, just keep your head about you." Because I'll tell you what, guys, I've never been this peaceful as I've been in my whole entire life. I've never been at peace ever, 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 ever. And I don't know if Josh is picking it up, like, from my wall or whatever, if he's checking out Facebook, but my other friends are noticing it. They're like, "Dude, it's like what happened to Jonathan from Jersey?" Or well, they don't say that. You guys call me that. Only a few people know me as that tagline. But they started noticing the quality of my posts, or I've even noticed I'd start writing something and I would delete it. Right? I don't care about the comebacks anymore. I'm not like. Not as aggressive. I have a different spin on things. I'm really at peace. Okay, I'll just say it that way. And so I leave it up to the universe. And Josh, like every time I let things go, man, things just manifest. Like you said, it's really bizarre. If I didn't have evidence, if I didn't have like receipts or photographs or something, my stories would sound like total fabricated BS. And so the next day, here's what happened. I had gotten contacted before I moved to this guy's house. And this woman says, "Oh, we got this healing center down here down in Davie, Florida, and there's several women living here, and we do a lot of like plant medicine. So it's like everything from bufo to ayahuasca to San Pedro to everything, and they're licensed, and all that to do so. But the healing space is incredible, and I used to do stuff, of course, at my Zen Den up in New Jersey. So I'm thinking, here's an opportunity. Let me see what's what." Now, of all the people I'm friends with down here, and they call them tribes, right? So everybody's got little tribes of pockets of people. It turns out every single person I'd made a contact with, and I mean in business and friendship and everything, it was like I was like the Kevin Bacon. Like I was the 6th degree of Kevin Bacon in this sense. Like everybody seemed to know everybody through me. And they would turn around and say, for a guy from Jersey who's never down here, or, I was a recluse for 2.5 years, like I was saying before. They're like, "How do you know so many people, and how do you know your way around, and how is this possible?" So it's like the universe literally, I guess, take like a needle and thread, and you put beads on it, to make a necklace or a popcorn. It's like they threaded me through all the right people that then interconnected with one another, and not just in friendships, but like in common interests, right? So the healing work, the medicine, all this other stuff. So I'll give you an example. I made 3 specific relationships when I came down here and landed in Melbourne right off the bat. And I'm talking with people I'd never met before on Facebook. and I'm talking really high level contacts as far as business and everything else. All of a sudden, all these projects that I got involved with all kind of interconnect, like I'm saying, so they all benefit each other, the relationship. And so here's what I'm going to go back with. So my book's coming out soon, right, Josh? I moved the date because of my son's birthday and all that.
Uh-huh.
The first of the 4, I claim to know nothing, but this is what they told me. And that book consists of, when I say they, of course I mean spirit in the higher sense, but I also mean they, meaning guys like you, guys like anybody I've met in life who had their own phenomenological experiences or just their own spin on life itself, right? When we learn, we don't just learn from ourselves, we learn from others. Right? We learn from our mistakes, we learn from our likes, but then the universe also intervenes and teaches us things that are so subtle that, when you're going through the experience, it doesn't always translate. It doesn't translate to radio. You try your best to try to explain it to other people without sounding crazy. And hopefully you find cool people like yourself say, you know what, dude, you're not crazy. I've been there. And then, people start to share their own experiences. That's why I wrote this book, because I write it in such a way. It's a little bit self-deprecating. It's a little bit like, hey, am I crazy? But it, kind of opens up the reader to like say, hey, this guy's like telling it straight, because I could tell the way, he's telling his story. I can relate. So everybody along this journey, and here's what happened. So the next morning, this guy, all of a sudden out of nowhere, he says, hey, listen, we got to talk. I'm like, what's up? And he's like, I don't think you're going to work out here. And I'm looking at him, and now check this out. I still had the U-Haul truck, thank God. I had extended it by one day because they didn't give me a van. They wound up giving me a freaking 20-foot monster truck, and I'm like, here I am only needing a van. So on the other end, I said, listen, do me a favor. Could you throw in an extra 75 miles or something? Because, I got to pay extra for gas, and parking this might be a bitch and this and that. Who knows? Guy goes, yeah, no problem. Well, that in turn gave me an extra day with U-Haul for free because of the mileage or something. The representative was like, oh, you're lucky. You got a 4th day for free. And I'm like, yeah, lucky me. So I still had the truck, thank God. I didn't turn it in. And he says, yeah, he goes, you're a little bit too independent. I don't think you're going to work out living here. And dude, I have this recording. Maybe I'll let you listen to it like next show, or I'll just give it to you and you'll laugh your ass off. I can send it to you, and it's 3 minutes long. And you can hear the way I conduct myself with people when I speak, because right now I'm on the radio, obviously, right? But you can see the real Jonathan from Jersey. And let me tell you, I didn't go into the whole New Jersey thing. Like, listen, motherfucker, I didn't just like go into it like I was going to jack him up against the wall.
Bridge and tunnel crowd.
But I said to him, here's the thing. I was totally at peace. Every single bad thing that happened. And it started in Melbourne, because I don't know if I mentioned this or not. When I landed in Melbourne, I was promised certain things, certain expectations, not because I had them falsely. Like, of course, we do a lot of things in life. We project our wants and our needs, and including our fears, onto other people, right? Sometimes we don't make the communication, and we're not clear enough of what we expect from that relationship. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's why, unfortunately, that's why contracts are made. You trust people, you think on a handshake, but sometimes in that exuberance and that excitement of the moment, you kind of overpromise, underdeliver later on, right? When people say, hey, let's go into business 50-50, and you wind up doing 150% of the work. So I always tell people, hey, listen, let's go into business together. I only want 2%. And they're like, what, 2%? I was like, yeah, 50-50 usually equals 0. I said, I'd rather have 2% of everything instead of 100% of nothing. So that's kind of like my attitude in life. I'm happy with the meager amount. I just want to be included. I just want to do my part, because I know holistically when we do that, when we only go for that 2%, you wind up getting a lot more. You wind up getting all of it, right? When you're part of a team, you're not taking on all the responsibility, but you're getting all the benefits of that team. You get what I'm saying? If you're part of the winning team or the winning army.
Hell yeah, I do. This is Iron Rail Media, baby. I know all about that.
But I'm saying this is something that they don't teach us in society, right? They always taught us the opposite. They always taught us about survival of the jungle, survival of the fittest, dog eat dog, top man, top woman.
Look out for number one.
Look out for number one.
Probably a reason that every time English or Anglo-Saxon culture came across a tribal society, it decimated it.
Mm-hmm.
Probably. When you break all that up, you break all that collective knowledge, all that, you break it up, and everybody just wanders around, and it becomes dog eat dog, and
exactly
the tough guy wins, and all the shit we all put up with.
And this is the thing with a tribal collective like that. I mean, it isn't hard to break up, because human nature is still human nature, right? So if you have a society that doesn't like, if you're talking about like primitive culture, Walt.
Oh yeah,
So
absolutely.
yeah, so basically you'd have to instill the values of what goes to the basis level of man's heart, man and woman, but usually man. And that's, of course, the basics, right, of the 7 deadly sins, greed and everything else like that. So you're going to have to put something, throw something to the dog, so to speak, because there's always going to be an alpha that's going to produce. So you find the strongest alpha and you give them a little bit more, and you create jealousy, you cause derision, you cause moral decay. There's a million ways to do it, but we won't get into that. But anyway, so what happened is when all
Don't mind me.
when all this stuff was going down in Melbourne, and the reason I'm telling you guys this is because I don't know what the show topic is today, but I want to say keep the faith, if we can do a topic on that, because there's so much turmoil going on, especially with the elections and everything like that. Especially if you're a Republican, there's a lot of people that are giving into the news, the artificial news on mainstream media about Biden being the winner, and it's not even declared yet. There's a big fiasco going on. So yeah, keeping the faith. So when this stuff went down in Melbourne, this person projected all these things and created this picture of like, oh, it's going to be paradise. Just come down here. My bill's already paid. The house is already paid. Come live here. Here's a car. Here's this. Here's that. And I didn't go because of those things. I went because I knew that I needed to get to Florida anyway. And I was in flow, right? This was the direction I was going anyway. So it was kind of like, hey, listen, I'm driving a truck down. I got my stuff. Like, if you want to come with, because I have plenty of room on the truck, kind of thing. And that's what I did for this person. I took some of their stuff down to Florida. Right, we had a big U-Haul originally leaving New Jersey, and so it was a kind of like a coexist. Like, hey, this is perfect. This will work. So I get down to Melbourne, and yeah, it was the land of milk and honey if you're retired, because they were, right. This is an older person, and when you don't have to do anything except go to the pool and go thrift shopping at the thrift stores, then that's a great existence. But I'm 48. I'm ready to hit the ground running. I got a million things I want to do after being a recluse for all these years, right? I'm ready for the new Jonathan from Jersey, new and improved. Like I got my gusto back. I got my mojo back. So this person saw me doing all these things right away, and they're just like, Jesus. They're like, is this how you are? And I'm like, why, am I too noisy or something? They're like, no, you're like a church mouse in here. Like, if I go to my room, I'm like, forget it. You won't even see me. I'll get on the computer, and I'm like, I'm doing my thing. But they didn't like the fact that I was just like all over the place. And, Josh, this is something I've had my whole life. Like you said, if you turn around and say, hey, what's going on? A week later, that story is going to change a million different ways. And you're like, wait a minute, I thought you said you were doing this. And it's like, yeah, I was doing this. But then I ran into this person, that person, and this opportunity. And it spun me into 20 different directions. So long story short, they lied. I made a decision to move. I just put it out to the universe. I'm down to a few $1,000s, right? I got like no money to my name or anything. And I'm just doing this on like pure faith, which is great. Because every time I've done things on pure faith, the adventures have been incredible. It's almost like the Celestine Prophecy from the mid-90s when everybody was reading that book.
Oh, yeah.
It's like you literally run into the next person. And if you follow, and I think I've said this on there before, there's only 2 emotions you can go with. It's either love or fear. Some people think that love and hate are the opposites. No, it's love and fear. And when you come from a place of love, meaning openness and receptiveness, the entire universe opens up. And that includes through other people, because that's what we are. We're conduits for the universe to activate and work through us. And I'm not trying to sound new agey. I'm saying that's exactly what we are. We have a consciousness. We all tap into it. I mean, just like that picture on your wall, Walt, with Alex Gray, who, by the way, should I tell them, Josh, who I'm looking to line up?
Well, I mean, again, because things can change so quickly, I'll leave that up to you.
So yeah, I think I'd mentioned before, I used to shoot photography for Alex Gray up at COSM, and one of my good friends there who got me to do so was John Ohia, and he was the lead director of multimedia and everything else for Alex, and helped him build up, for the past 20, 25 years. So this guy, John, he's a really cool cat, and he's got connections up the wazoo, the friendships he's made and everything else, including with me. And he's doing his own thing now. He went back home out to Eugene, Oregon, and he's got his whole thing going on. He's ready to launch, which is great. And he's friends with the best of the best, from Graham Hancock to, you name it, he knows them. And so I said, listen, why don't you come on to TFR and tell some of your stories, because you got to hear the stories this guy talks about, the things that he did with Alex, the different trips and journeys and experiences. And He could tell you some stories. It's just
That'd be
amazing.
great, dude.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Yeah, behind the scenes. So I want to have him on. But no, we already have some projects we're looking to do together because I got several projects going on here. One of them is in December. We're doing Yoga Fun Day down in Hallandale, and it's an incredible event geared towards yoga, but we're building it up, and we want to basically get it to the point of where it's like a cross between Wanderlust meets Ultrafest meets all like what some more grassroots of what like Burning Man used to be, right? So we're getting away from
like all the before the commercialization kicked in.
Yeah. Yeah, like when I used to see Fish playing in Moncton, Vermont back in '91 before they were on the road and doing mainstream, and I was bootlegging like cassette tapes of their concerts kind of thing. So I have all these connections going on, and it's funny because my friend Angel, he's like one of the head guys over at Ultrafest, right? So these are the guys that know how to do this, to set this up, to get it going. Well, John's the same way. He's the same way with marketing and everything like that. So he's going to help me with that too. The point I'm saying is I came down here with nothing, no job, no expectation, about $5,000 left to my name, no car, no nothing. So fast forward to that guy kicking me out the house one day. I'm not even there. And I said, what did I do? Snore? Right? I'm here 12 hours. And I said, you couldn't tell me this before I unloaded this whole effing truck. And when I say, here's the thing, picture this, right? So if it was in a van, I could have backed that van right up to the freaking door. And I had these containers of all this artwork, right? They weigh about 70 pounds per container. And I had like 18 of them in total. And that's all I had.
Damn.
Right? And then a couple of my clothes and then my computers, right? What I'm on now. But that's all I have with me and nothing more. And in these containers are just basically artwork and paperwork, all that stuff I scanned, my mom's artwork and things that I was doing for that other project. So after he sees me lug them in, let me tell you how small this bedroom was. By the way, he used a wide angle lens like the real estate people do. Mm-hmm. So when I walked in, it was like something out of a bad movie. Excuse me 1 second. Let me just clear my throat. Hold on.
No, you do it.
Well, you go right ahead, because actually, normally this time of the day, we'd be having a break. I feel it. That's crazy.
That is crazy. I know it is.
Oh, I'm sorry. You want to break?
No, you don't have to. I'm just saying, take your time.
If we were on TFR.
Coffee, so I may take a break while.
Yeah, I don't want to bore you guys with a long story.
You're not. No, you're here, sir. It's just a really weird day because we're not in our normal setting. And I literally was like, wait, I clicked over as you were about to fix it and saw it was mid-commercial. I'm like, well, that's why it feels so strange.
So here's the thing. I went to this bedroom and I'm thinking to myself, how do you fit 20 pounds of crap in a 10-pound sack or whatever you call it, or 10 and 5. But I said, okay, let me jack up this mattress and I'll make a platform for all these containers because they're all the same height, right? And I'll just make it like a platform bed. And then I put the box spring over that. And then I put the mattress on top of that. I'm like, okay, this is cool. It's like the Princess and the Pea. I'm only up near the ceiling now. No, but you know what I'm saying? I had this stack. And then the rest of the stuff I fit into the closet, which was like a narrow closet. It looked much bigger on paper, right? And on film. And then the other containers. So I remember calling my son that night. And he goes, how you doing, Dad? And I'm like, hey, dude. I was like, I'm happy. I said, I've never been this happy. I don't know why I'm happy. I said, but Daddy made a mistake, because I was offered this other place, the place I'm at now. And I'll tell you about that in a second. And he's like, that's okay. He goes, you've always gotten out of tighter situations. And I was like, yeah. I said, do you trust me? I said, what's your gut feeling in this? Because I got to tell you, I consult with this kid sometimes. I ask him what his gut feeling is. And this freaking kid, holy crap, man, he's scared me many times in the past. Like I got the shine. I got this this ability, I'll call it, right? And you'll find out in my books. But this kid, he says things, and it's like you kind of freeze. It's like when certain things that come out of children's mouth, like when he was a baby. Like they would say things and then it would happen, or they tell you like, hey, I saw grandma. What do you mean you saw grandma? Grandma's been dead 20 years. And then he describes it to a T. And it's like, well, you've never even met grandma, let alone a picture of her in an album, that kind of thing. So when he would say things, it would spook me, but he was really positive and I could feel his energy, saying, you know what? And he gave me a pep talk and I was like, this is what I waited for my whole life. Like getting to know this kid. Mm-hmm. When he would come about and have this sense of not just autonomy, but I don't know if you've dealt with kids lately. Like a lot of them are very despondent. Like they don't really respond to conversation. They're kind of like tuned out. They're tuned into their phones or into TikTok, and that's fine too. That's their culture. You got to realize that's their social fabric, right? That's how they communicate. But this was like he was totally engaging and cognizant and alert. And the message that came through him really hit me in the heart. And he says, "I know you'll figure it out." And he says, "God always takes care of you." Because so for him to recognize this, that's good because it kind of bolsters his own faith. Like I've seen my dad like stick to his word, and it's come out on top. So when I got off the phone with him, that's when I looked in the mirror, and Spirit was like looking at me right back. Like you ever look at yourself in the mirror and you actually see yourself for a change? It's like, oh my God, there you are. I haven't seen you in years.
Uh-huh.
It was a very sobering kind of moment, right? And all of a sudden, this other energy or this presence came through in my reflection and smiled at me and said, "Look, man, we got you." And I'm like, "Who's we? Like, are these the voices in my head? Is this where I'm like John Nash from A Beautiful Mind? I got schizophrenic now." All right. I mean, it's funny when that movie came out, people used to tell me before I'd seen it, weeks before, they're like, "Guy, you got to go see this movie." I go, "What movie?" "It's that guy Russell Crowe, and he's in this movie, and he plays this genius, and it reminded me of you." I was like, "Why?" I was like, you think I'm a genius? No, he had schizophrenia. And it kind of reminded me of you. And I'm like, really? So now you think I'm schizophrenic? And they're like, no, just, it was his whole personality.
There's definitely some
Jerry
mental
Merzinski show. Did you watch that one, John?
Oh, the one you gave me? You know what? I started watching it, and literally my life for the past 3 weeks, like I said, this week alone, this past week, I moved 3 times. So it's been that kind of, I haven't sat with it, to be honest with you. I want to sit with it because it gets into it.
Yeah, you need to.
And I found myself wanting to like, jump ahead and start. Yeah, I didn't want to get spun into different directions, but I have to listen to it. But in any case, so I looked at myself in the mirror and it just said, everything's going to work out better than you realize. I said, okay. And here's what they said specifically. Don't do anything. Like, don't think. And I have to tell you something. This little room that I was in, this little construct that I created, and I was honoring my word. Mm-hmm. I created that, and I'll tell you why. I was offered the place that I'm living in now, just a day or two prior to that. And what happened was I talked with the woman. We had a good feel, and she was coming back from Vermont with her daughter. They were on a road trip. And I could tell immediately we were very simpatico. We were on the same wavelength. We just kind of flowed in the conversation as if we were picking up as if we were good friends from years ago. And the only problem was that I was honoring my commitment to this guy that I, left my security deposit and everything else. I was just being, doing the right thing. Well, next morning comes up. He says to me, he goes, "You're too independent. You're not going to work out here." And I'm like, 48 years old. I'm like 48 years old as a man. It's like, of course I'm independent. I want to get on my feet. I want to get moving in life. I want to move. So we did just that. He gave me my money back. I load up all my crap back in the truck. But I got to tell you, whereas it took several hours to get everything off the truck and carry it, and I was like wiped. Let me tell you something. Putting everything back on that truck, I guess the energy was with me and it was going in the right direction now. So maybe my body was even resistant unloading the truck because I knew my gut, I didn't belong there. But filling it back up, I filled that truck in 20 minutes. It was like Popeye meets I don't know what, man. I took those things. They didn't weigh a damn thing, those containers. And I should have secured the load. But here's what happened. I called that woman in the interim of him kicking me out. I called her up, or I sent her a message. I said, "Is that room still available?" And she's like, "Yeah, come on over. We're like 20 minutes away or whatever." So I throw it on the truck. I'm thinking, I could just drive there and not secure it. Why not? Because originally I secured it. Well, guess what? I almost made it there. And sure enough, this being Florida, somebody cut me off at one point with a friggin' truck, right? Big ass truck. Thank God the brakes worked. And I felt boom right in the back, like of the cab. Like I felt it hit me in the back. And I'm like, oh, and I'm picturing like my computer, my monitor, like everything, because these containers are heavy. And I took a before and after picture. Maybe you can put those up, Josh. If I can find my phone, I'll send them to you. And it's like, I got out, I pulled her on the side of the road. I'm like, well, I said, I guess I'll just go through that when I get to the other end. Literally everything just shifted forward. The bicycle, the golf clubs, everything. Right. I did have those 2 items with me too. In any case, I get to the new house and I walk in. I was like, this is perfect because I'm not a beach person. I've always lived near the beach. I never went to it. Literally when I lived 1 block over from the beach in Rumson, New Jersey, I'd look out the window at the sunrise over the Atlantic Ocean, which is gorgeous. I've shot down there for some yoga chicks and things like that want to do their, silhouettes, but I would never go in the water. I'd never even bother going, because you get that Jersey Shore crowd down there. Well, same thing with Florida. I just have no desire. But I always love Vermont, and I'm thinking to myself, why did I even come to Florida when I love the green of Vermont, right? The lushness, the all of it. And here I am now in Davie, Florida. It looks just like that. It's horse country. It's green. It looks like Hawaii outside my backyard, like with the palm trees and everything else. And it's just big plantations. And I'm actually situated between Camelot and Paradise. Like on one side of me is Paradise, what do you call it, pet veterinarian, and the other one's Camelot. And then one over from that is Happy Trails, where you can go and pet all the baby animals and all the like. What do you call those things? Those things that are like llamas, alpacas. Yeah,
Yep.
there's them, and they got like all these different friggin' animals. So it's like, man, I really landed here. And walk into the place. There's a beautiful studio, and so I come into my bedroom. They go, "Yeah, this is the room we told you about." They said, "You got a big room here," and I'm thinking to myself, everybody has a weird perspective on what big is. And I walk in, I'm like, "Oh crap!" I was like, "This isn't like just a room. This is like a friggin' studio space, like with an attached bathroom and all that." So I've only filled up half this room, not even. And I think I'm going to throw a couch in here, and even the walk-in closet, like all those containers all fit, and I could still walk in and actually hang my clothes. But it just kept going on and on and on like that. And then really connected with these people here, because there's other people living here. And what's really cool is on the back end of the house, like this extra acreage, these other people are living off the grid. They're doing permaculture, hydroponics, all this other stuff. This really cool rock group from Netherlands. They're like kind of like hippies, but they're really cool. One's got a magic school bus, and this whole place is about like experience. Like you can't live here if you're not ready to do the medicine, and that's everything from like Bufo to San Pedro to ayahuasca to. This is regular ceremony stuff, but this isn't like a sip and puke crowd. I don't know if you ever heard that term, but you get a lot of these people that, let's say from Jupiter, Florida down to Miami. And so they want to do the sip and puke experience and take their Instagram and, play the game, but not do the work.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll tell you what, when you do the work and you really tap in with plant medicine, you should really have a conscious intention of what you're trying to achieve. Because I don't know how many of your listeners out there listened to Frank Castle for a while. And he was always talking about ayahuasca and stuff like that. And let me tell you, he told me some stories off air when we would talk on the phone. And he's like, "You got to come up and do some ayahuasca." And I'm thinking to myself, dude, it sounds like a menagerie of F up there in that apartment. Like I'm picturing his apartment, some of the stories he's telling me about what's going on with ayahuasca. I'm like, I didn't want to tell him, like, I didn't think it was the right place for it. Because, you listen, the person who's administering the medicine is really the guide, right? Is kind of like the shaman at that point.
Right.
And for the people that needed to go to Frank Castle, that's exactly the space that he was able to hold. That's the main thing. It's
always to me been about set and setting. Your mind set and the setting you're in, being
absolutely
place, the ambiance, the people you're with, all of that is part of the setting. So
you said intent. And I love that, how important the intent is. And it's not just the plants. Like when I was building these garden beds, those pieces of plastic netting that they'll use to hold seeds in place,
absolutely,
on a hill.
Yeah.
Well, I had that was in here, 2 layers of this little, and it wasn't a lot of plastic. It was real, 2-inch, maybe 1-inch by 1-inch squares, real thin plastic. I could have just thrown it all, tearing out all the roots and everything. I could have just left it in the roots and burned it, and it really wouldn't have made a huge difference. But the time I took to go in there and pull every root out of that plastic and remove the plastic from the earth right there, that intent that I put into that, it knows it. That magnetic field, that aura that I put off while I was doing that is now there. That magnetic field has, change that area a little bit and put that intention into the ground, into the soil, into everything that I touch there. And your plants that aren't even alive yet will still feel that good intent, because you wanted it to be a good, pure, safe place for your plants to grow. And you will leave that energy there, that good intention that, you could have done the short route and just thrown it all together. But it's like your mom making the peanut butter and jelly sandwich for you. That's why it tasted so good.
I was just about to say that exact analogy, and you're right. And Yeah, no, you're right, 1,000%. I got to tell you, the whole shift in perspective, my gratitude throughout this whole thing. That's a word, by the way, I hate to use because there's this gratitude cult down here, and I'll call it a cult because it is. Right? There's a certain following. They're very cliquey. They have their own thing, and people ask her, "Oh, did you do gratitude?" And I know they're excited about it. That's their thing, and so many people have benefited from it, just like many people have benefited from Tony Robbins to Scientology or anything else. But whenever you have something that's so inclusive, it starts to take on those cult-like qualities. You know, when there's that rigidity in following, right? Even religion can be a cult in a sense. But no, I came down here in total gratitude, and whereas the old me would have reacted, you know, after years of being a recluse and after years of reflecting on my life and all the decisions I could have made, you start to take on a certain responsibility for your part in it, so that when you tell the story, when you repeat the story of what you went through, you're a little more conscious on your part in the whole thing and how you did in fact create it. Right? You did in fact let certain people into your life and so on and so forth. So like when you're saying, Zach, with building, a garden or doing anything, yeah, you can take the short and easy route and just build it straight out. But when you're doing it with pure conscious intention, you're already envisioning the beauty of it on the back end of it. So you're kind of like helping to co-create
you're putting that out there.
You're putting it out there. And you know what's funny, when I talk about the Zen Den, when I did that whole thing, it was like the same intention I'd held since I was 16. And so when I was building it, it was almost like when you get like a Lego set, and let's say you have a picture on the box and you've been like waiting forever to get that Lego set, right, as a kid, and you see the box and you see what it should look like, and you don't even need the friggin' instructions. You're just kind of like tearing through it, knowing how to put it together because your intent is driving you, and you're already imagining playing with it. Like in your mind, you've built it up, and then when it meets your expectations or even exceeds it, you're just like in total bliss. Well, that's how I am with this friggin' move, because there's been such flow here, and then the personalities and people in this house, like we've really gelled together as if we're a community collective. All right. So for each person, I've been able to extend my own gifts, my own offerings beyond what I'm bringing to the center. I fixed one person's computer. I hung a chandelier the other day in somebody else's bedroom. I've already started fixing things the way I know how. And then in the interim of all this, some of the connections I had, like I said, those people that are coming through here, come to find out, one of the women doing a talk next week on something called gene keys. That's a whole nother interesting thing with the human design and gene keys. I'll explain it to you it's a whole nother topic. Maybe I'll bring this person on because she can explain it amazingly. They wound up knowing each other. They're going to be at the same event. And I'm like, here I am. Oh, I didn't get a car yet. Wait, let me tell you how that worked out. This is a funny one. But when I said to her, I said, "Oh yeah, I'm friends with so and so," and she goes, "Wait a minute, this person?" And she shows me the flyer. I was like, "Yeah." She's like, "I'm going to be talking with her next week." I was, "Oh, small world." I said, "Maybe you can give me a lift and I can go to the event," because I didn't know how I was going to get there. That kind of thing. But what was I going to say with the gene keys? Now I was going to say something else. Oh, so here's the thing. So I get down here, and I've been looking for a motorcycle because I figured, here's the thing in Florida, you don't need insurance for a motorcycle. You don't have to wear a helmet, which is like a plus, and it's easy transport, right? Good mileage and the whole 9 yards. It's just me, so it give me time to go around, go look for a job to hit the ground running. And by the way, it's like I don't even need a job, but at the same time, I want to make bank and get a base so I can, I'm excited to just be working and doing something because I have too much time on my hands at one moment, and another I'm like busy full throttle all day. And so I said to the universe, is there any way you can get me a job where it's flexible and I don't have to sit 9 to 5 and this, that, and the other, and it pays really good money? All right, so here's what happened. Every time I went to look for a motorcycle or car, nothing was working out. Even though there were low prices and I was just looking for a little banger just to get around, something would happen. So the universe said, hey, don't do anything. And I'm like, what? Because I'm trying to be responsive, right? I'm like, all right, I'm a man. I got to hit the ground, get a job. And they're like, trust us, just relax. We got you. And I'm thinking to myself, that sounds like a flaky attitude. I'm looking at the universe saying, you guys are being flakes here. It's like, you just want me to like chill? And they're like, yeah, just relax. I'm like, okay. And just like that, it was that kind of voice, like, relax, man. It's cool. We got it. And so I let go. I just waited. All of a sudden, just the other day, I had like $2,000 I wanted to spend on a car, right? Not including the money for the registration, which is expensive in Florida. It's like $500 for tags. And this guy says, hey man, what's going on? I was like, not much. I said, I can't wait till we hang out. We had met on Facebook. Me and him were really simpatico. Again, one of these relationships where you literally, from the word go, it was like picking up with an old friend you hadn't seen in 10 years. Every single relationship I've made down here has been like that. And I said, yeah. I said, as soon as I procure transport and I, get some money in my pocket, we can hang. He goes, oh, you need a car? I was like, he goes, I got one. I was just going to buy. And I'm thinking to myself, if he says the magic number, I'm buying it. And 2000 was the magic number. He says, it's a Mazda 3 and it's got great mileage on it. It's been garage kept, which is great for Florida because otherwise these cars get beat to crap from the sun.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, can you afford 2000? He didn't even know my situation either. And I was like, yeah, 2000? Yeah, sure. And then I said, cool. I said, now I can get to a job interview and go get a job because I had all these job interviews lined up. And he goes, I got a big company, man. What do you do? And he says, I need help right now. He goes, somebody's leaving. And I'm just like, and immediately Spirit's like, dude, take this. Like, this is going to lead to something else. Like, trust me, you want this. And then here's what he says. It's the magic words. He goes, are you flexible with your schedule? I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, well, I don't do like 9 to 5. He goes, I get these jobs and I get like tons of overtime. And like, if you could take them, you could take them. And if not, but if I can have you on call, it'd be great. Like, I'll have plenty of work for you. You can work still 40 hours minimum or whatever you want to work. But I just need it open-ended where you can just, and I'm thinking to myself, that's how I work. He goes, sometimes I get up, I have to start a job early at like 5 a.m. or 4. And I'm thinking to myself, I don't effing sleep. And I'm thinking to myself, you're telling me if I take this work with you, it's kind of like a la carte. And he goes, yeah, exactly, man. He goes, I don't care, if you can make it, it's great. It means I don't have to call somebody else. He goes, I'd rather get a steady dude that's, and we're just like, and I'm thinking, is this real life? Like, is this happening? And meanwhile, Spirit's laughing at me because I was teased them. I was like, here's what I did up in Melbourne. I got to tell you something. I was in the pool. I was relaxing. I'm looking around. I'm literally like, this is too good, right? Is this how people retire? Because this is awesome, right? You literally do nothing except look at the sun and flake out. And I said to God, I was like, there's no way that you can do this, this, and this. I really challenged God and the universe. And he starts laughing and he says, really? And I'm like, yeah. I was like, no offense. I was like, I've always believed in you. It's no disrespect. But personally, I just don't see you doing this. There's no effing way. Because I always used to tease people. Here's what I tease people, and I'll say this line. When they say something that I find impossible, I'll say, do you believe in God? And they're like, yeah. I was like, good, because you got a better chance of seeing God before you seeing this thing happen. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And so this time I did it to God. I did it to God directly. I was like, I hope you believe in yourself. I said, because you got a better chance of finding yourself before you finding me with, blah, 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 blah. Well, looks like the universe is conspiring against me because there's this hard ass named Jonathan from Jersey who needed to be humbled. And that's what it's been about the past couple of years. But in any case, I'm down here in this place now and I have these connections and I've made the friendships and I did the work and I finally am ready to like launch, right? The real authentic Jonathan, which I don't think the world is ready for because I'll tell you right now, man, I got like a mission. I have a destiny. I've known this since I was a kid. I've always throttled back. I've never revealed my true identity. I've never revealed my true power. I've never allowed myself to be in that fullest place because I knew my ego needed to be tempered. I knew my ego needed to be knocked down a couple notches. And that's it. Now I'm ready. So.
Well, that's awesome. I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad to hear that things are swinging in your direction.
No doubt.
Yeah, sorry about the
Lots of
long
things.
talk.
No, it's all right.
Mm-hmm.
We needed a good catch up.
Exactly.
It's been a hot minute.
Well, here's the thing, and I gotta say this. Like, I'll say one last thing. Like, I'm not doing it for me. It's funny because everybody I've told what I'm doing, I said I'm only doing it for 2 reasons: my son and everybody else. And that's how I know I'm straight because I've literally had no ulterior motives in any of my moves. And I've already been tested several times over for where I could have fell into old patterns, old addictions, old anything.
Uh-huh.
And it's literally, I mean, Josh, it's like, I don't even know how to explain. Well, here's the best way I can explain it. If you've ever had an addiction or ever gone through something where you had a fault, a character flaw or anything like that, and you've always failed, even no matter how hard you tried, whether it's like breaking a diet, whatever,
uh-huh.
it seems like there's something that just activates within you at some point. It's almost like it's a natural thing. It's not even something you can strive at. It's just one day it's there, and one day it's not.
Yeah, it's like you want to take from step 1 to step 3, and you're never going to make that big step. But as soon as you take step 2, boom, step 3 becomes easy, and you find yourself just walking.
And you might just be going 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You know, it's like falling downstairs, right?
Yep.
It's that first step you need to take to fall down those stairs. So I basically fell into this, right? And it's funny because I'll say this much. This is what I did learn in being a recluse. So time is a very subjective thing, right? When we're having fun, we're having the time of our lives, like going away on vacation, it goes way too fast, right? There's this drudgery of 6 months at work and you're waiting for your 2 weeks vacation or something like that. And then when you finally get to spend it, let's say you go on a cruise or something, that thing's like a blur.
Uh-huh.
I mean, you have all the energy in the world for some reason to get up at 4 effing a.m. to get to Newark Airport. I'm just saying New Jersey here. You know, pack your bags and then get on that damn cruise ship as tired as you are, but you never find yourself tired. You're just in it. And then all of a sudden you're back to Monday, 10 days later, whatever the hell, and you're going back to work. And then all of a sudden you can't get your ass up out of bed every day. So it's like, what changed, right? So there's something to do with consciousness and time. And I'll say it this way again too. Like when you're doing these plant medicines and things like that, you go onto a trip or a journey and you could be literally in it for only 10 minutes of physical time. But the reality of your shifted reality, because you've disconnected from the ego, you've disconnected from all the problems here in the world. And all of a sudden you're on like a 3-hour journey, whether it's drumming, whether it's ayahuasca, whether it's anything. So it's like time is very subjective to the moment.
Definitely.
And so, so in being a recluse and realizing this, I realized that the one major component of manifestation, if you want to manifest any, and I talk about this in my book, if you really want to manifest your life, it's more than just picturing in your mind, like that whole thing that The Secret was, that was on Oprah with Eckhart Tolle.
Yeah.
Okay, this is the thing I hated about this, and I got to be honest with you. When that came out, it was so first level stuff. They really should have done people justice and gave them parts 2 and 3. They never gave them the advanced stuff. It was more like a sales pitch, which it really was. Remember, it was like a really big buildup. Everybody was talking about the secret, and you had that whole panel of speakers. And I think the behind the scenes on that, supposedly, I think Abraham Hicks and her husband broke away from that whole group because there was a couple lies. One of the guys went to jail. Here he is on The Secret on the video, and he's talking all this high consciousness stuff. And meanwhile, he's, his own life is in shambles, doing stuff behind the scenes that had lacked ethics. Again, no judgment. It's just his journey. And sometimes it serves as a purpose for people to be mindful that these so-called gurus, these mystical people that proclaim to be there for your higher good, are the biggest con artists in the world. I have to tell you that in the spiritual realm, and you see this with religion, you see it with people like Joel Osteen. I'll say it by name. Look, the guy drives a friggin' Ferrari or everything else. And when the people in Texas needed a place for homelessness, when that thing went down, he wouldn't open up his big Lakeland super church,
He only had like 18 extra rooms, John. Come on.
Well, and it's that whole
huge place.
Yeah, and it's that whole prosperity movement within the. That's just one thing, right? Here you are professing to be a proponent of Jesus Christ who served the poor, and you're trying to raise money for a new Gulfstream 9 jet. Not Joel Osteen, another pastor, because the Gulfstream 8 was a little outdated. Like, really? You want a $57 million jet from your parishioners because prosperity? All I'm saying is, when you sit back and you wait and you let the universe do its thing.
Did Jesus have a Roman chariot?
Did Jesus have a Roman chariot?
Yeah, with like gold spokes and big flares coming off the side and all kinds of crazy cool stuff. I never heard about him having them.
Well, there were funny you should mention it. There were a lot of books from the Bible that were omitted, but there was a chapter where Pontius Pilate, that's why Pontius Pilate was kind of grieved about the Jews. And, he knew he was in a precarious position that by Jewish law, he had to turn over Jesus, when they picked Barabbas over Jesus. But there was a chapter where it talks about him borrowing the keys to Pontius Pilate's personal golden chariot. And I don't know if you know this or not, but the size of railroad tracks
are exact same size. Cars too. The width of car tires.
Isn't that true?
Yep.
Yeah.
Nuts, isn't it?
No, but
Fit today.
no, what I was going to say is I was starting to talk about manifesting, and I got off on a tangent. But when you project, when you part of projection is from your ego, of course, it's what your heart desires. But there's another part of it that you have to sift through and find the exact truth of that. So, like, for example, when I say I needed a car, I wanted a car, I took out the want and put the need first because the need was greater than the want, right? Wants come about once all your needs are fulfilled. Then you move up to the next layer of, well, all right, I wanted a job, but now I have all this extra money because the job exceeded my needs, right? My needs were met. I paid all my basic bills. So I had this excess of capital. So what do I want now, right? All the extras. So it's not that I just want a burger, but like I want a good burger, man, right? I want a bacon cheeseburger, man. No, or something, you know what I'm saying? You want the next level up.
Right.
And sometimes, if your life is austere, you live in a very simple life, meager life, and a humble life, that excess can be used for other things. You might share it with community. You might share it in other capacities. That's your decision. That's your trip. It's cool. But when you're trying to manifest something bigger, a vision, and especially if it's in tune with the universe, the desire and the energy that's behind the buildup of that manifestation, you start to feel it flow through you. So what happens is just like being in flow, like in a river, you're kind of led to it, you're pulled to it, right? It's like when you go whitewater rafting, you don't care where that river goes. You just know that it's going fast and it's going the way you want. And it's going to be like you in that experience. You're going to be part of that river, whether you fall in it, you know, your boat tips over, or you're going to be riding on top of it. But some way you're going to be one with that river in a moment. As soon as you get in that crazy, you know, that water. The thing is, you're not thinking about the end of that journey, right? When you're whitewater rafting, you're hoping that that river keeps going for a while before your body gives out and is exhausted. And that's the key to it, manifestation. It's a race against your own ego, and where you'll either your ego will take you over, you know, and you'll fall back to, like I said, those old patterns, right? And your addictions, things like that, where you kind of yield to it and you give into it, and the next thing you know, you're at the end of the river. You've taken the trip, you've taken the journey, right? You've gone with the ayahuasca you took, and what happens is you're truly part of the whole experience. It kind of like the experience kind of takes you over as opposed to you projecting it anymore. You're not projecting anymore, is what I'm saying. When you yield, you kind of just ride the journey, and here's the part of it you have to do. You have to wait. You have to be patient. So like what I was starting to say is like when how time is subjective to the experience, a lot of times we create these constructs like the regular construct of time itself. Like, oh, like today, I think Josh said, are you awake? Or like, are you going to be awake tomorrow? Right. When I think last night, right, we were talking, he says, are you going to be awake? And I'm thinking to myself, well, if it was a job, it'd be harder to get up. But because it's something I love hanging with you guys, of course I'm going to be awake. My body's going to want to be awake. I'm already a part of this team. Like, you guys make me feel welcome here. Of course I want to be part of this.
I wake up on Tuesday and Friday at 4:30, 5 minutes before my alarm goes off.
That's exactly what happened today. I woke up right before the snooze. I set it for 4:45. I woke up to 4:42. And then I kind of lay there waiting just to, you know, clear my mind. And then Josh texted me, and I'm like, yeah, I'm good. But yeah, so here's the thing with patience. If you're holding a vision that's so clear and you know it, and the universe keeps giving you affirmations and reaffirming this vision, that means it's already done. When you can see it that clearly in your mind's eye that you already see it, like you know it's done, it's done. Sometimes the universe will be that clear. And then at that point, you literally have to get out of your own way and do nothing. And just avail yourself. So here's a mantra I say. I open up every day and I say, look, if I avail, you'll prevail. And the universe comes back with like, yep. And they do. They keep prevailing themselves through people, through experiences, through the weirdest, like, you know, unconventional means by normal standards. But it always works out. Always works out. And so, yeah, here's the other thing. So I was talking to my father, right? And he moved down to Fort Myers, right? He's starting a new life as well. Because all our family on that side that he's really close with all moved down that way. So I said, okay, well, I'll be over on this side of the state. He'll be over there.
How's his love life? Sorry to interrupt. Didn't you go down there chasing a gal or something? Do I not remember that correctly?
What?
Your dad, wasn't he moving down there with a lady or something? Wasn't he chasing tail down to Florida?
Oh, I wish it was like that. You want to hear funny? Well, I don't know if I should say this on air.
Well, you don't have to say it on air. That's all right. Because I do want to get a chance to talk to Cammie at some point this morning too.
Oh, it's just this, Jonathan.
Oh, hey,
Go ahead.
Hey.
Oh,
Hey.
Cammy, hi, lady.
Go ahead, you speak.
Well, good morning. No.
Take the
I
floor.
want to hear this. No, it's just us, this intimate little group. We want to hear.
So you see, this is kind of a beautiful thing. This is very beautiful. So when my mom, I had moved back home because she had cancer and dementia, and my father was kind of at his wit's end. You're up around the clock when somebody's wandering through the house and this and that, and it was really sad because he'd be exhausted. He's getting up in age, and I remember, excuse me, I haven't had coffee or water yet. Let me grab a
I
swig.
tell you what, look, I need coffee. You need something to drink. Cammy's here. So while Josh says hey to Cammy for a second, why don't you get something to drink and I get some coffee?
You do that. I'm good. I'll listen.
Trying to help you out.
I just had water.
Trying to help you out.
Just
All right.
throw
Go
you
ahead,
right
go
under
ahead.
the bus, Walter.
What I was just going to say is real quick. So when my mom was passing away, it was interesting. If you guys have ever gone through that experience with somebody passing, especially if they have dementia and stuff like that, it's crazy because there was a point where she was like, I remember 2 a.m. this one night, and I hear all this beeping downstairs. I'm like, what the hell? It woke me out of my sleep. There was so much beeping. She thought she was putting her macaroni and cheese in the microwave, and she's pressing buttons on the air conditioner, trying to figure out why the door wasn't opening. It was like that, kind of like far gone. And then the next minute, she'd be totally cognizant, like it was like 2 different people. It was crazy. It was sad. But in any case, when she passed in May of 2019, it was coming up on their anniversary. My dad had been in touch with this woman. Now, no funny talk, nothing aside. He was totally in love with my mom. But her husband had passed away within 2 weeks of my mom. Like they had the same kind of parallel experience. And more importantly, he had known this woman since he was a child. It was my godfather's sister, who it was basically like a father to my dad, this guy. So here they are. They have a mutual love in the same man and, my godfather and parallel lives. And they have the same birthday, 1 year apart, the same exact date. So it was interesting to see them develop a relationship because my dad was going every week to my mom's grave on Sundays and mourning for a good solid 10 months. And they would just be carrying on as friends. And then all of a sudden I heard like the tone. He'd be on the phone a little bit longer later that year and he'd start, feeling alive again and communicating with her. Anyway, it basically came down to the earlier part of this year and he decided to go down and see her. Now this is interesting, right? Check this out. So I'm still at the house. I knew we were selling the house. So he's like, listen, why don't you stick around? This was like last October in 2019. He goes, why don't you stick around? He goes, I know you're going to get on the road and stuff, but I'm going to be selling the house anyway. Just stick around for your son because here's a place for him to come and then we'll figure it out. I said, okay. So he goes down to see this woman and all of a sudden my mom comes to my bed at 4 a.m, wakes me up. And she says, tell your father, I said, he's got my blessing. And I'm like, yeah. I was like, okay. I was like, good to see you. Right. It's only been like 9 months. I hadn't seen her in the dead, anyway, I call him up at Newark Airport and I said, look, mom was just here and she had a message for you. And he goes, all right. And he knows I'm funny that way. And she wanted me to tell you, like, you have her blessing. I don't know if you needed to hear that, and I don't want you to think I'm crazy. And you know what he says to me? I couldn't believe it. First of all, he says, thank you. And my father's like a hardcore old school Marine kind of guy. He does not say 2 things, thank you, and he does not say sorry. Mm-hmm. The only people he says thank you to is maybe the waitress or somebody who does service for him at Home Depot. But yeah, he says to me, he says, I was just about to turn around and come home thinking I'm crazy, that I'm betraying your mother somehow. Like it was on his conscience. I was like, no, you're meant to go. She gives you her blessing. So he went and that was it. He wound up staying a couple of weeks and then he went back down during COVID. He was down there for 2 months, and I was minding the house. I actually sold his house for him. I did all that for him because he doesn't know how to use a computer. This guy's still using a flip phone. So you send him a message, he ain't getting it. On his phone, but that kind of thing. So I helped him pack the house. And then we decided together, like, yeah, let's move down to Florida. I said, I got all my friends and all my connections on the East Coast. You have everybody on the West Coast. And here's the thing. I couldn't figure out why I needed to stay in Jersey anymore. There was nothing there except my son. My son is busier than ever between school. He's an honor student band. And so we figured out he'll come down now. Check this out. He'll come down, land in Tampa. He'll see my father first. My dad will take him up to Orlando, which is only an hour and a half away from where he's at. I'll pick him up there. We'll go do the fun stuff at the parks and all that. See my friend Brian, who's into music industry and stuff. And then I'll take him down here, show him the Miami experience, hang out, where I'm at, and then take him back to Fort Lauderdale and he can go back. And the flights are cheap. They're like $20 each way or something right now. So it just makes sense for him to come down here and have a good time rather than, what are we going to do in Jersey? rent $150 a night hotel and do what? Look at movies on Netflix.
Mm-hmm. Hop in the
So
pool.
so really, it's funny the way the universe worked out. But yeah, that's how my dad got down here. And with that, anyway, I was getting with the car. My dad asked how I was doing, right? He just happened to call me, and I said, here's a situation. He goes, do you need some extra money? And I'm like, what? He goes, well, you sold the house, and I figured, I don't care. He goes, I'm set. He goes, we got a house, we got everything. He says, and so he wound up like offering to buy the car and the tags and everything. I said, you know what? If that's for my inheritance, I'll take it now. I'll take some of it now. And so again, here's the universe opening up and saying, listen, we got you. And again, in unconventional ways, I didn't ask him for anything. I was really taken aback that he was that generous.
That is awesome. That's really cool. I want to give a quick shout out to not one, but two super chats specifically for Minion. So I thought Kimmy and Bob would really appreciate that. Although I bet Hankster's a little jealous. But there it is. A yellow dog from both Darren and Liz. That's awesome. Super chats for dogs. Always welcome.
And how are you, Cammie?
She may be getting coffee now. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure where Cammie went. I suspect she's around here somewhere, though. It's really interesting you were saying that, though, Jonathan, because especially with the process of buying a house.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, you just bought a house, didn't you?
Ideally, there's a slim chance that we could go close today.
Really?
I'm not counting on it, though. They're not open at all tomorrow for Veterans Day, which sucks. So it's probably going to end up being on Thursday.
Wait, you're a veteran?
Yes.
All right. So did you get a VA loan or?
No.
Oh, okay.
I went with the USDA loan.
Okay. All right. Gotcha.
2.7. You can't hardly beat that shit.
Yeah.
So.
Good for you, man. I know the interest rates are ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, and we saw several properties, two of which we really liked, and the wife and I, we really wanted. But for some reason, the universe, old Dad said that it's just not meant to be. And we waited and did nothing, and he presented us with this one. And, it checked off as many boxes on her side as it could, and as many boxes on my side as it could. There's room for updates. The area is growing fast. So when we do decide to sell, we're probably going to make a profit on it just because of the selection we made on that. We could probably do no updates to it. And by the time we go to sell it, just because of the area it's in, we could probably make a pretty decent profit. So, but
That's brilliant.
It is really brilliant. Just the way that it sort of fell into our lap. And it wasn't really what either of us were looking for, but it was the best compromise for both of us. And so it was just the kind of deal where we just had, once we lost those first two properties that we really liked, we just kind of had to throw it out there and just said, you know what? Maybe what we want isn't what we need, isn't what God wants for us. So we just kind of have to go hands off and just open those lines of communication and hope that they will come back in a house that would be best for us. And that was.
Can I add something to that? Because that's really exciting. And I write this in my book, and I'm more concise than I am verbose on the air, but not by much. Part of resistance and part of manifesting your destiny or your dream is that if there's any resistance from the universe, if there's any resistance in the situation, you can give it a couple times. Like I like to do like 3 times, is a charm.
Mm-hmm.
And if there's resistance continually, that thing is the wrong thing. You're not meant to do it, or the timing's off. Sometimes the mere timing of a situation, it could be the right thing at the wrong time, and it throws the whole thing off. So like even moving here, I said no. Here's another thing. Another guy was supposed to come in this place, and when he backed out, it was the same morning that this guy said, "You're not welcome here." So again, it was a whole timing thing. But here's what it did in effect. It made a clear space for me to come in here with nobody second guessing that other guy was supposed to be here instead of me. You see what I'm saying? It kind of cleared the air for that.
Right.
So like the universe is making these other, opportunities appear, but then drop because, you're meant to go, like you said, elsewhere. And then it might not be the place itself. It could be the situation around the place. It could even be the right neighbor. Sometimes it's auxiliary things. The next step or the next level that we're supposed to get to requires us making these other moves that aren't in a direct straight line. It's almost like side quests in a video game.
It is. It's a lot like that, and it's hard to be able to differentiate what my brain is telling me that it wants to make it happy versus what God is telling me that I need to pay attention to, because that's what's going to be best for me. So sometimes it's hard to go hands off and just say, all right, we'll just coast and see where the ride takes us for a little while. But if you can, it's one of those things that you can get into a bad habit of doing, because you actually do have to be proactive in life, and you can't just let life take you where it goes. But you also have to learn that you can't control everything, and that there are times that you will need to coast just to see where you come out on the other side.
You bring up a good point, and I've seen those types that are a little bit too, I call them like La La Land for me, where they kind of like drop out completely and just they're too lax, right? They don't take that active part or that responsibility, the OS or whatever. And yeah, there's a fine line, but that's where discernment comes in. That's where inner knowledge comes in, and sitting and waiting and testing the waters. So that process, that part that you're talking about, faith is one thing, but developing the rest of it really takes a continuous amount of energy in terms of discipline. It is a discipline, because again, I think what happens is when we fall into our old behaviors, including fear, we kind of break up that faith. We break up that connection in trusting. And in just the opposite, if you just, like you said, do nothing all the time and just think that everything's gonna work out, sometimes it does. Stupid luck. It's funny how you'll see people that by no other convention, you say, man, how does this person even exist in life? You would think, and meanwhile, they're somewhat wildly successful because maybe they got out of their own way. Maybe that's part of the key too. Maybe this universe really does have a natural order, whether it's in chaos or not, and things always find their way. I mean, look at sometimes when you look at a forest, or you look at a natural setting in nature, and by all other means, like you could try to build a garden like Zach's doing, and you can beautify it and kind of landscape it and make it a certain way, a certain design. And then there's other parts in nature where you're just walking out there and you're like, oh my God, look at this. You know what I'm saying? You kind of like come over like a ridge, and then there's the vista. And then all around you is like this open like grotto. And it's like, who the frick designed this? And this is just nature with random chaos, right? Dropping seedlings and pollen and different stuff and rock erosion from rain. And it just turned into this incredible, you see what I'm saying? So where's our... What's that, brother?
I often ask myself, should I be changing it?
Right. Yeah, that's part of
it. But then I answer, somebody told me this recently. It might have been you, Walt, that I'm not destroying anything. I'm putting it back to how it's supposed to be. Grass does not grow everywhere like we have it. This was put here by man, the way things are, it's not natural. It looks natural, and there are places out there that are natural. Don't get me wrong, but like in the backyard, most likely there wasn't grass there naturally. Well, I know it wasn't here. I've seen the evidence of the layering of the seed stuff and all that kind of stuff. So it really does. It hurts every time I pull one of those plants out and I sit there and question myself, is this okay? Should I be doing this? Should I be changing nature? But then someone told me, and I'd never realized it's not nature that I'm changing.
You're terraforming it, huh?
Yeah, I'm putting it back to how it used to be.
Right.
Well, no, you guys bring up a good point.
Putting it in a more productive for it. And I think with Josh's situation is a little bit different because he put in a lot of power of intention. He put in a lot of energy, he put in a lot of thought and focus, and put out like saying, hey, this is the square footage, this is the acreage, this is this is my dream. And with him though, I almost and he put a bid on the dream, and the bid just like went crazy. And he was, I mean, I watched him reaching like what very last dollar we could do. What can we do this? I don't know, Josh. I think that maybe in getting what you need, you might get a lot more happiness because you won't be stretched for money as much. You'll have more, time and money to enjoy with Dixie. Less acreage and less has to take care of, more time to find each other, and yeah, plenty of space, really. You may have gotten exactly really, really what you want and just didn't know it.
And I think that was a lot of it too. Sometimes I'm really dense, and it takes a lot for me to get a clue. And sometimes the universe just needs to smack me with a sledgehammer across the head before I can actually say, "Oh,
Right.
yeah, okay, that's what it is. Got it."
Pay attention, because I saw what you're getting, and it's fabulous. It really is quite a dream.
It is. It really is.
It really is.
And we got it for considerably less than we were willing to pay for our house. So because we got it cheaper than we wanted, we'd be able to afford the things to update it, which will then increase the value, which means in the long run, when we go to sell to buy our forever home, then we will be able to make more of a profit.
Right. And in the time on doing that, and even doing that, it opens up a lot that you're not so cash strapped, and as things happen, it just will take your stress level a lot further down to be working again in that financial means it's a much more comfortable place. So, and again, you've got beautiful land around you and that, so it's not going to be punishment. I'm so happy for you.
Well, thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
By the way, I didn't know if Jonathan was going to take a breath or not. He did, and of course he did right when I stepped into the kitchen where the headphones totally click out. I tried talking to you, and then it took me, by the time I went to reset him, it had passed.
I didn't mean to not come up for air this morning. I was just on a energy kick.
I think that's fabulous. I'm still trying to take my first breath, and I'm still trying to catch up with you, Jonathan. I'm still trying to catch up with you.
Can I tell you something funny you just reminded me of? I had a message for somebody once, and that's something else. My psychic's been off the hook down here, but I did this message for somebody. It was almost like a channel, and it went for 9 minutes. And when I opened my eyes, they looked at me, and they were just staring at me, and I said, "What?" They said, "You didn't breathe the entire time." And I was like, "What do you mean I didn't breathe?" They said, "Your body was as rigid as a board. Like you weren't moving. You weren't, sometimes when you stand, you kind of rock a little bit." They said, "You were stiff as a board. It didn't even feel like you. It's like your energy, like your persona left and this other thing came through you." And they said, "How didn't you breathe?" And I said, "Hold on, let me ask them." And I closed my eyes and went back into it. And I came back and they said, and I started laughing and they go, "What?" I said, "Well, they just told me that spirit doesn't need to breathe." And that was it.
That's awesome.
So, did you guys get that link to that video? Let me tell you something, Walt. You're gonna trip on this. Zach, you just triggered me with this. Like this song, this version of this Nights in White Satin, mixed with this video, is the trippiest, coolest effing thing. You want to play something at break for music, you got to play this version of this song. I've watched this video so many times, I always get something out of it, but it's exactly what Zach was just talking about. And it's kind of like, when do you touch nature, or do you just leave it alone? And this is kind of like what I was going to lead into with how we're trying to integrate our beliefs and our design and our technology and everything else back into nature. I mean, you see it with GMOs and all this other bullshit. But those of us that are going off the grid and reconnecting with true nature, I mean, that's a whole nother journey, right? That's where we hopefully, I sometimes pray, I got to be honest with you, that the EMP hits. I know a lot of people will be hurt. I know a lot of people will die, God forbid. It's going to happen if it happens. But at the same time, it's like me taking that pause and being a recluse for 2.5 years. You kind of like drop out, you disconnect from everything, all social media, everything, and you find yourself again. You reconnect with the smell of air, or the smell of soil, or just your own thoughts without the monkey mind and chatter. And so when you see this video, it's really amazing. It'll blow your effing mind. And don't do it while you're on drugs, because this is a drug type of video. Yeah. Oh, by the way, Go ahead.
I was just gonna say I took a first step yesterday. I tasted my first rock.
Rock?
Yeah, an old geologist that I worked with in the factories. When I found my first big chunk of calcite, I took it to him, and he told me what it was, and then I started bringing him all kinds of cool rocks that I found out there by the train tracks, and just at the rocks they brought to drop around the plant. And the first thing he'd take a quick glance at it, just a real quick one. He had a loop always, It must have been the geologist in him. But he'd take a quick glance and then he'd clean off a part real good, and then he'd lick it and taste it. And then he would try to tell me what it was. But not
that's
until
so
he
groovy.
tasted it first. He said they all taste different. You can learn their taste. It's not that hard. So yesterday I grabbed a dark white piece of crystal type looking thing and tasted it. And I'm going to keep tasting it. I figure I'm going to just stick with one or two at first and just learn the distinction between them. But yeah, I'm going to start tasting all the rocks that I find.
Watch out for the lightweight brown rocks.
Oh, those soft brown rocks?
The soft brown ones, yeah. The little round, compact ones, yeah, those.
Yeah, but you know what? If those are good, they're kind of like avocados or fruit. They have to ripen. Sometimes you got to leave them in the bag on the windowsill. They eventually turn white.
Oh, good to know. Good to know.
So they're really tasty.
Get that little crunch to them. Get a little texture to them.
But I'm sending you guys another link right here. You're going to want to watch this because I had an advanced preview copy of it and I wasn't allowed to share it with anybody. But you're going to want to watch this on 11/11. Trust me, this is the trippiest thing I've ever seen in my life, and I've seen stuff. It's a cosmic 3D UV portal. Trust me on this. This guy, Tico Chango, I met him up at Cosm of all places, and what he does here in this 91-minute art documentary will blow your effing skull. I even asked him, I said, dude, I've never seen psychedelics like this in my life. So the two links I just gave you, do not watch while you're on drugs. I give you that disclaimer. You will not come back. If you want to share that with everybody in the chat room, sure.
All right. Shared the
I
link.
had already dropped the link to the Moody Blues one earlier, but I haven't.
You dropped that one?
The second one, yeah, it's already in the chat, guys. Enjoy.
Have you seen it?
I watched the first few seconds of it and was like, oh, I'll have to hold on to this for later.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I'll need to sit down and immerse myself into this video, I think.
I wasn't over-promising and under-delivering, though. I promise you on that. It's a good one. So what? Everybody's doing Garden of Edens now in the God of the Vita?
Nah,
another trippy reference. Huh?
Bow, 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 bow.
No, it sounds like everybody's doing off the grid kind of stuff.
Yeah, I like having. I mean, I could go out into the woods and find food.
Yeah,
there's plenty of wild edible food that's out there, but having a garden is nice. Not having to go forage and having it right there.
Bro, there's nothing like having a tomato pot and a basil pot right next to it, and all you need is the mozzarella, and you're golden. A little olive oil, a little salt and pepper, and damn.
We have the highest iodine content as far as natural content in the soil here in South Carolina.
Are you serious?
Really?
Very, very healthy thing to have.
Yes, it is.
So yeah, I'm going to be implementing a lot of the clay. I'm going to break it up real fine and always get a good dusting around the plants. Because I'm not going to be growing in clay, but I know that's where the iodine's coming from, that red and all that good stuff. So I'm going to make sure I get that implemented into its food source, a lot of that stuff.
That's really good.
I'm going to learn a lot down here. I know I am. It's just a totally different world when it comes to gardening. And I've seen a couple gardens where people are growing in straight clay. And when it rains, you got to think that's horrible for the plants. Just cuts off all air that gets down into the roots and all that kind of good stuff.
And yet
I
you
don't know.
look at
Nature
our
finds a way.
you look at our
Yeah.
soil and look at all the trees and everything that we have here, Zach. I mean, look at how much is here around.
Nature finds a way. That's for sure.
Nature finds a way. Yep.
So did you guys hear about? I mean, this is old. They've talked about it a few times in older articles, but I just saw it pop back up again. Their reason, the rare, or not the rare, well, I guess it's a rare element in the universe, but this element that they found on asteroids that they just think it's so important that they have to go mine it off of asteroids. You hear about this, Jonathan? Cammy?
I did see something brief on it. I didn't read the whole article, but
Do you know
what
this element is?
Yeah, can you? Which element do you think would be so desired that it would necessitate us flying from Earth all the way out there to space to land on this little asteroid just to harvest it and bring it all the way back?
I know. Adrenochrome.
No,
it's better than unobtainium.
Nope.
What is it, Cammy?
I had an unobtainium.
Wait. What do you mean? What do you mean water?
Water.
That's
they can split it, and you can use the hydrogen and the oxygen to make rocket fuel. And we need more rocket fuel, John.
Wait. This is not a real article. This is like the friggin' Onion or something.
No, this is space.com.
Oh, that's where you get the best articles at space.com.
Wait a minute. Wait. I just read
If
another
you want a good
article.
laugh, go to space.com.
Followed by phys.org.
But I just read something recently. They said there's like, some people think the Earth has more water in it than we even realize, the density of it, or, whatever.
Right, there's
untapped.
Underneath it, how do we think the tides and things like that work if we don't have more water underneath and ways to like breathe it or pump it? Yeah.
Right. And
There's
then
huge
they have
water
desalination. They have desalination process. There's plenty of ocean water. I mean, how much rocket fuel do they need?
Good question.
Where are they going? Where the hell are they going with that? I mean, you can't go far when you hit the firmament.
Yeah, how about get out somewhere first? Let's
make it past low Earth orbit.
Where we could actually hold a machine that could turn water into rocket fuel. Then we'll worry about going and harvesting water.
All I know is this. Look, okay. So you got the Bible, you got that story and all that, but I don't remember reading anything about people from other star systems, like literally. Like it should have been a more prevalent story. It should have been more. We should have all like more myths of people, because we have myths of monsters coming out from the ground and snatching people, like little kids at night. Like that's more plausible. So when people talk about possibly a hollow Earth or a hollow flat Earth, that's more plausible. But you don't hear about people coming down and taking people. Like, yeah, you had aliens for a while, and they probe people, but they always put them back. Like that's too convenient. But no, there's not enough. There's not enough connection to space. I'm sorry, because we would have caught one of those little bastards, and it wouldn't have been the government. Somebody else would.
Even Whitley said years ago that these, whatever they are, grays, for want of a better moniker,
they're more interdimensional, right?
It's more like the old tales of elves and little people. I mean, the changeling children being replaced, coming from the inner Earth rather than outer space, just like you said there.
Did Whitley Strieber say that?
Oh yeah, dude, that was one of his. I think that was the first book, actually, not the second one. Well, definitely we talked about it at many conferences, and eventually he wrote it in one of his books. It may have been Transformation, or
it might have been him that said this. Then I did read or hear somewhere that they said that our perspective, like depending on the time that we live in, right, our advanced technology, that we create or we conjure these beings that match that level of technology. So if you go back to caveman years, it was one type of creature, right? Then you got into the period where it was about, like you said, elves and fairies and ogres and things like that. And then as you get into the modern technology age, you have aliens in outer space and these advanced creatures, people like Valiant Thor. I mean, I would love to believe that Valiant Thor is a real person and is here for humanity. People like that. Are you guys familiar with Valiant Thor?
Mm-mm.
You never heard about Valiant Thor?
I don't think so.
No clue what you're talking about.
Oh, I'm sorry. He visited supposedly the U.S. back in the 60s, and he lived at the Pentagon, down at one of the deepest levels of the Pentagon. They have like apartments and complexes, like a bunker, and he was from Venus. You never heard of Valiant
This does
Thor?
sound vaguely familiar.
See, now it's starting to ring bells for
He
me.
spoke like 200 languages. He was with an entourage. He had this beautiful accompanying, like this woman who was like beyond physical beauty. Another gentleman with him. They were all very eloquent. They knew everything about Earth's history. He wore this fabric supposedly that we couldn't even recreate, and it was just this amazing. It couldn't be pierced. It couldn't be burned with a torch, and he had stuff to reveal here, and he was here for some time, like some 3 years, until he had to go back. But supposedly he was like 200 something years old, and he claims he was from Venus. So is there any truth to it? I don't know, but there's a few pictures of the guy, and yeah, Valiant. So the word Valiant, Thor, like the comic book hero.
Yeah, everything you're saying is all hitting bells except the name. Apparently that is not the name I associated with anyone ever. That's wild.
Yeah, isn't that weird? Jonathan's head of useful knowledge.
So I did find who Adam was right. It was Huygen. Some guy, something Huygen, an astronomer, who determined the size of Venus. Now he determined this because Earth, Venus, and Mars were, in that same belt. So he assumed Earth, Venus, and Mars to all be relatively somewhat the same size. Now, he knew this because somehow he already knew the distances to these planets. I haven't dug into it that far. But he even says, and he states it very plainly, this guy in his own writings, that it is an assumption.
What do you mean?
Like the size of Venus? They say that's how they figured out, the distances to everything and all this and that, because Venus is the sister planet of Earth, blah, 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 blah. Well, somehow they're saying in his papers that he already knew the distances to these places, which makes no sense to me. How do you know the distance if you don't know the size, or vice versa? But knowing the distance, he still had to assume the sizes, because the telescopes weren't that accurate and couldn't measure that fine of an angle and yada, yada, yada. So in his own papers, he writes, it is an assumption just based on, that they're in the same distance.
Best guess of whatever. That's crazy.
He was like right on. He nailed it. It's amazing.
You know what gets me? How they could say these scientists can discover something from a telescope billions or light years away and determine there's certain elements on it, that there's certain this, that, and I'm like, are you serious? Like, you guys are just writing sci-fi as you go along?
Look back at the telescopes they used. I mean, some time ago I used it. One of them, I think it was Newton's. I can't remember whose it was, but I mean, it literally
build them out of Legos better now.
Dude, it looked ridiculous. I mean, your sight on a freaking, 20-year-old gun is better than that thing was. It's crazy.
Not just any gun, the one that they
Let me
used
find the picture
to kill JFK with that Oswald used. That gun.
A Nerf gun.
That gun, right? That had no accuracy. Could not be rounded that quick. Yeah.
What were you saying, Zach?
I was just saying, like a Nerf gun that you buy at, the toy store. You could turn that into a better telescope than they had back in the day.
But what I'm saying is there's so much pseudoscience, and because it has the backing of these, the backers and all that, and they build it up, with the stories that are so fancy around it. I just don't understand how people look at this and not think that it's bullshit, because it is. I mean, you start looking at
they don't look at it. They don't. They don't. They're not taught this stuff, that it's assumptions and this and that. They're taught that it's known. And we verified it because we sent probes to Venus. We've landed on Venus. Blah 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 blah.
Right.
You know, that's where NASA came in and just totally destroyed the whole debate, the whole, argument of what those lights are in the sky. As soon as they started saying, well, we've been there, so nanner, 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 and you can't even try to get there. So nanner, 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 we know. You have to listen to us.
Here we go.
It was a
This
great plan.
Nanner.
This must be why I downloaded this photo last night. This is exactly perfect for our conversation right this moment. You could throw that in the chat room.
I could probably get that up on screen, maybe.
Oh, yeah?
It's possible.
That's perfect. Right down to the helmet.
And it's a true rainbow. It's a real rainbow.
We are just an advanced breed of monkeys on a minor planet of an average star, of a very average star. Yeah.
There we go. I knew I could do it.
Like we were talking earlier, just a couple minutes, like 20 minutes ago. So we were saying how you can go through the flow of life and just do dumb luck, just wind up successful or anything else, right? You don't have to, you basically just get out of your own way. But sometimes I used to say, like, we're nothing but a bunch of monkeys. Just, we wear pants just to hold our wallets and we're not much smarter. And I often wonder, though, how people can go through life without questioning it that way, to live that kind of ignorance and bliss. And basically the past couple of weeks, I've been doing just that. Just, I don't even care. I don't get frustrated. I don't put things up on my wall anymore. I'm not as out there with my theories or even my anger or my passion. I just let it all go. I don't even care anymore. It's like, fuck, the heck with it. Let people do, live as you will. The universe will figure it out. And I hate that attitude myself. I hate that about that in myself, because I'm more of a take charge kind of guy. I'm like, if I see something wrong, I try to correct it. And I don't mean like dominance. I mean like, if there's trash on the floor and I see it, I'll pick it up even if it's not mine, just because I know it makes for a more beautiful. You know what I'm saying? If I'm in the store and I see a piece of clothing fell off a hanger, I've picked it up, and I've actually had people in the store say, "Oh, thank you, that's so nice of you." But that's what they do as a job, to rehang stuff. And I'm just thinking to myself, well, it's out of order. It's something within my control. So.
I like that.
Yeah.
There's already enough entropy at work, especially this year.
Mm-hmm. 2020 has been it's been a black hole of entropy. Jesus. This whole year feels like it was scripted. It literally feels like theater. Even what's going on right now with this election stuff literally feels like theater, because, not for nothing, I hate to tell, I'm not taking sides on this whole thing. I literally, I'll put it out there. I didn't vote this year, and I know that's going to piss off some people, but the reason being is that I literally saw too many friends and too many people fighting, and I'm thinking to myself, how can I take a side or a position and lose a friend that I've known longer than 4 years over two guys that I have little interest in on either? I mean, no offense. I know Trump's doing a lot of great things by a lot of measures and a lot of metrics, but at the end of the day, he's lived a life that none of us will ever live. He's ran in circles with people that, again, some are questionable, some are just the nature of doing business. But he was also a casino owner, and politics, car salesmen, lawyers, and casinos are kind of places where it's a losing bet. There's kind of like a little bit of gaming the system, so to speak. So how ironic is it that we got a casino magnate, as our president for, it's a little weird.
Well, if the House always wins, what better job to go into than government?
That's the other part of it, right? The House, he knows how to handle that crowd. So he's kind of like made for the job, really. In that sense, you're right. But what I'm saying is, what was I saying? I was saying with this politics. Oh, like I said, there's too much division. This whole thing feels scripted. And what I was starting to say was, with the Democrats, right? No, I've seen people say, "Oh, how could they be so stupid? How could they do this? How could they do that and not expect to get caught?" And I'm saying to myself, a lot of these people are all like college degree people. They came from money, or came from, worked their way up to have money, have experience, have the best of everything. And then all the networking and connections they have. No, they're not stupid by any measure. More important, this whole thing has been scripted. I think some of them have been compromised. this whole thing where supposedly people were going to Gitmo are going to get arrested or even, executed for their crimes in the past. And they were probably given an offer saying, look, we'll let you skate, or we won't do this, or we'll let your family, we'll let your name go down in honor instead of disgrace if you play ball with us right now and follow the script. And part of that script, there's that great economic reset that, they were broadcasting this from the World Economic Forum. If you guys haven't seen this video on YouTube, do a search for Economic Reset, World Economic Forum, and you'll see Prince Charles and everybody else speaking candidly about literally resetting the global money supply, about what's coming next. And it includes these measures where it's about population control. It's about a lot of problems that they consider problems that they're going to basically produce in order to offer the solution. And the solution itself is draconian and severe. So this whole thing with Trump being in office, I personally don't think Hillary wanted it to fall on her watch. I think what's coming next, that they're setting up specifically the designs for civil war, if they want it to happen, a civil war too, where there's going to be such a backlash. And I'll tell you what else. I feel like they've always wanted to do away with the electoral college process, and that nobody after this, once it flips back to Trump, is ever going to believe in the whole voting process between the election fraud. I mean, remember, this is like a replay of the year 2000 with those Chads in Florida. And it's funny because the sitting judges on that panel back then that determined that it was fraud and all that, or had to be redone, was Kavanaugh and Barrett were both on that panel. Go figure.
Go figure.
So this whole thing is just way too contrived and too designed.
Yeah, it's always been contrived and designed. Do I think that they did this thinking they would get away with it? Not necessarily. Well, probably so. I think that they just get away with so much that they lose track of what they can and what they can't get away with. They just do whatever the hell they please. And considering they get away with 99% of it, they don't give a shit if they get caught with that 1%. They don't care. They're going to do what they do regardless.
Do what I want.
I do what I want. Cash me outside. How about that?
Sniffy Joe, go, go, go.
Sniff. Oh, wait, that's funny you said that. Wait, here's one for Sniff and Joe. I got another image for you guys. You'll like this one. It's good hearing you guys, man. It's good being on today. Thank you.
Quick update. The sun has appeared to come around again. The sky is lighting up, so all is good.
I still can't figure out how that thing works on a flat Earth.
How the sun comes around?
Yeah, any of it.
I'll show you sometime. It's not hard.
Go look up Fraunhofer diffraction. It'll explain it all.
That's what I always tell everybody, Zach.
Send me a link.
Those two words have shut up quite a few people, actually.
Link it up.
Huh?
Link me up, man.
Hey, we have a Facebook thought for today. If you think you're smarter than the previous generation, keep in mind that 50 years ago, the owner's manual of a car showed you how to adjust the valves. Today, it warns you not to drink the contents of the battery. Ain't that the truth?
Wait. They actually, I remember working on cars, but I don't remember them putting that in the owner's manual, how to adjust your valves.
Oh, sure. 50 years ago, how to adjust your valves and do things. You did that as an owner.
That's awesome.
I did all that until they took away carburetors. I'm like, well,
exactly.
And I do pretty much totally believe it that today it does warn you not to drink the content of the battery. Don't drink the battery acid, people. So,
are you serious?
Yeah.
Don't you think that's nature's way of getting rid of
That's why so many dumb people out there right now, is because of all these warning labels and safety measures. You can't call it thin the herd if you just take care of everybody. I'm being very silly. I hope you all know I'm just playing one on not even on TFR today.
Not even on TFR today. And we've not taken a single break today, and we are really only 15 minutes away from the end of the show.
I know you guys.
I really missed the music.
You guys
I was going to say that earlier, but we were.
We're so programmed with this shit. It's been killing me back. I've been like, trying not to go. Let's take a break. Play a song, damn it! But I've been doing the conversation, so I didn't want to mess any of it up.
It has.
Wait, can I ask you one quick question about this Fraunhofer? I can't say the word.
Fraunhofer.
Give us a link,
that
Zach.
guy.
I know you have one, don't you?
It's in
Give
the
me the
chat
link.
here and in the chat on YouTube.
You
Zach
did
placed
drop
it
Oh,
here
I see
in the
it now.
call.
Sorry, I was.
That's just a Google search, so with the name and all that kind of stuff. There's so many different articles in physics. You can go back to the 1800s, and they're,
Well, no, I think I think I stated this on the last show a couple weeks ago, but I always thought that the sun was on the outside of the firmament because of the way the diffraction would work with the prism of the firmament. Dude, are you having an earthquake over there, or did your wife just get up?
Man, I was trying to mute it. I heard it coming. That's the trucks. We have.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I didn't mean. I meant the trucks. I didn't mean your wife.
Yeah. She is awake. I will put her on you. She is grumpy in the morning, so coffee hasn't hit yet.
The whole house started shaking on the camera.
Yeah, the whole thing with it being outside, the reason I don't know,
Go ahead, tell me.
Because when we measure it from different places, people have, taken measurements with their sextant and then take it over here and over here. It doesn't line up. Like, it isn't always in the same spot. So, like, as you move, the sun in the sky also moves because the actual source isn't what we're looking at it interacting with something else, in my opinion. Now, is any of this? I don't know what the lights.
You mean like an image? You mean like an image in a mirror? So you're seeing it from a different. So it changes based on the perspective of the mirror.
Think of like a piece of glass and then a light up above shining on it. So you're not seeing the light from up above. You're only seeing where it hits the mirror. So if you're standing right beneath it, the light will be directly above your head. But if you're standing to the left a little bit, the light will be at an angle that's not, in that same angle. It'll be off to the side a little bit.
Well, here's what
right beneath it.
Well, here's the thing, and I've tried to convey this in the past, but being a photographer, so many things have screwed me up now in terms of what I believe, only because I've seen light do all these crazy things, right? And then the things that you do deliberately to get a certain look on film or on digital. And so, like, even the simple pencil in the glass of water illusion, where it looks like the pencil's broken, and you know damn well it's not, but it's offset, right? Because of that breaking line of the plane of all the water, the way it refracts through the light and all that. What I'm saying is like the atmospheric conditions. We have water molecules, right? Like a mirage during the heat of summer, and you look like something's floating way in the distance. The road literally disappears. There's too many optical illusions in our atmosphere, and I almost wonder, like, is it designed like did they really design it that exact to make us, that blind to what's going on behind? Is there no physical curtain, but is there something else? Let's not even get into light spectrums and our limitations of that. But like, I can't figure this thing out. It's a master illusion.
Yeah, no, I gave up.
Have you seen the pics of the? Sorry, Zach, go ahead.
No, that's it. I was just saying I gave up on the sun, the moon, the stars. I mean, I bought the sextant. I measured the sun every day, 3 times a day for 8 months straight. Until I
What were you getting? What kind of differential? Like, what kind of inaccuracies were you getting?
3 different times I measured the sun that was 2 degrees or further off than where the U.S. Naval Observatory said it would be. Now the sun, year after year after year after year, is in the exact same place in the sky. When it hits 180 degrees south of you, when it hits direct south, it will always be at the exact same time it was the year before on that day. It's crazy.
Well, wait a minute. You're saying the U.S. Naval was posting what, though? What information were they posting for the public to go by?
Azimuth and altitude of every single day, any minute you want, of where the sun or the moon is supposed to be in the sky. And I always checked.
And that was inaccurate.
Right. Only 3 times.
Huh.
Zach, I don't think you were here when we were all doing the thing between all of us across the plane. We had people in Rob was over there in Australia, and our buddies over across the pond, Adam and John, were doing measurements. We would leave, like, watch where the sun would come in with the compass and watch where it would leave with a compass, and the next person would take it over and see. And We didn't do it too many times, but enough times to where it broke Rob's brain. Like he was having some problems and issues with the way the sun was coming and going.
It rises in the south.
Yeah, it was nuts. Really nuts.
Tropic Capricorn. That's.
What I was going to ask you is, before we get too far, Jonathan, have you ever seen any of Sandra's pics or vids of the sun? P9 Cool Pics. What's her channel? Damn it!
I'm not going to lie to you guys. I'm not gonna lie. If I haven't followed, I apologize.
I'll link the channel since I'm garbling it all up. Damn it! Hang on.
Yeah. Here's the thing, guys. All right, I'm gonna be straight with you now. So now that I got my life set and I got my foundation here and everything like that, okay. Mm-hmm. And I did say on air. I think it was your show that I said I am now a proponent of the flat Earth. Right? I'm going to champion it. Mm-hmm. If I really put my brain power to this thing, I'm going to break the effing internet. I'm going to break this thing. I promise you. So if you really want me to go there, I'll do it. Just know that I just made a declaration. So
yeah, I like the organic. Don't break it. Just let people wake up on their own accord. Too many people wake up at once. Remember, anger is one of the side effects.
Zach, you've heard me state that here and on Mark's show too, as to why I wasn't a proponent of the flat Earth, right? For exactly that reason, that I said that it would upset the cosmology, it would upset the balance, it would upset a lot of things to break that kind of information wide open. That's exactly why I stayed away from it.
That's why I like it happening nice and slowly, and people not wanting to believe it for as long as possible. That's fine.
Well, let me say this then too. Slow. If there's any reason to hate Jonathan from Jersey, you're absolutely justified. But at least give me credit that I do respect other people's beliefs and I do care enough that I know I'm an asshole and I can admit that, right? I'm an alcoholic. This is like an AA meeting, right? My name is Jonathan Macedo. I'm an asshole. It's a new type of AA meeting.
Hi, Jonathan.
Hi, Jonathan. But no, for that being said, like I know my faults and I know my strength, and I would not proceed to deconstruct other people's belief systems, right? That's always been my main mandate. Like, I don't care if I disagree with you or you have this belief or that belief, but if that's your belief and that's how you're making it through life, and here's the more important thing. If the observations I make about you, if we have commonalities, like we care about family, we care about fellow neighbors, we care about getting the job done, I don't care if you go to the Church of Satan. That's fine. That's your personal thing. I don't care if you believe the earth is flat. I don't care if you're Lord Stephen Christ. That's why I used to talk to him. Like, there's always a valid of, you know what I'm saying? There's always a degree of truth in everybody's belief system. That's the part I'm after. That's why I did Perceptions Talk Radio. I feel like that remember I talked about the golden thread? I don't know if I mentioned this in the past. I feel like there's a golden thread, and that's God's thread. And it goes to every single thing, just like putting those beads on a thread to make a necklace, right? But outside of that thread, everything else exists. So, yeah, I don't deconstruct. But if you want me to, I will start looking.
We do have 2 super chats from Daz. He says, "Okay, do it, sir. I'll boost your energy." And then, what is it? Maybe a minute, 2 minutes? No, probably a minute later. Internet not broken yet. Waiting.
Do not forget that earlier.
Is he trying to goad me? Is he trying to get me?
I think he might
really
be.
Charge up.
Don't forget, Dax and Liz both gave us pops earlier for Minion. I have to shout that out.
Yeah. Oh, I was trying to talk. I was muted though. I was telling Minion. Minion, you just got treats. Little tail with flag.
Wait a minute! You just put up this picture here. This You're saying this person bought a P1000 just to take a close up of their dog's face?
Yes, wouldn't you with that beautiful mug?
You know, the P1000 is
I dropped it in chat and on your chat there. That's Sandra's channel. She's got some great close-ups of the sun. Go check it out, and then tell me what the fuck that thing is.
All right, but let me ask you one question before I proceed. Wait, I got to ask you this one question. What is it that you guys want me to do? Because remember I kept saying for a long time, we need some absolute scientific proofs that the layperson can do, that a kid doing a 6th grade school project can do to prove that the Earth is flat. What is it you want me to do, and I'll do it. You tell me right now.
What we need is an experiment that the flat earthers can do, that it is simple and basic, that will prove the shape of the Earth and or the motion or lack thereof, but not so in your face that the non-flat earthers are going to freak the fuck out once they realize that they're not on a spinny space ball. Something that's going to still be able to keep them calm and productive, to the extent that they're not going to turn on each other. So we need to have peace and knowledge and understanding. That's all I want.
That's a short order. Is there anything else you want a side of grits with that? Come on, give me something hard.
You asked.
Yeah, so we want you to do something that's probably never been done in history.
So you want me to become the next Mark Sargent?
You need to wake up the whole
maybe not how I'd say it, but
without anybody getting pissed off that they've been lied to their whole life.
Wow. Okay, I could do that. That's not a problem. Only because you guys asked, and only because I'm available.
Well, not only because Daz also stuck the energy there into the super chats, so we've got the monetary energy flowing to keep that circuit open.
All right, I'm all kidding aside. I'm going to put this disclaimer out there to protect myself and everybody else. You asked for it. You wanted to see it.
No, remember, I said I didn't want to.
No, Zach's the only one. That's the only one.
Put that out there.
You asked for it, you got it, you froze.
Zach, you let me ask Zach, because he's the voice of reason here. Do you want me to do this, Zach, or not?
No, I already said what I'm going to say, but I'm just one guy.
No. You're the one right now. I'm putting it to you. You tell me. You're the voice of reason.
No, yes or no? Absolutely not. No.
Oh well, there it is, guys. I'm off the hook. Zach has spoken. You guys can blame Zach for the. We're going to go into the dark age because Zach was playing it safe.
Is that how we do it? We just ask everybody. Unless we get the answer we don't like, then we'll just ask the one person who we know will give us the answer we do like and say, well, look, there we go. I'm off the hook. Look at that. Look at that. Lucky me.
No, I'm hanging this on Zach now. I mean, I'm trying to be,
I'll be your Judas.
That's fun. Whew.
Just
got
that
saved from that one.
30 pieces of silver should do it.
Hell, I'd sell out Zach for 15. Silver's doing good right now.
See, it's a funny thing about you, Jonathan, is I really think we've got such a similar sense of humor.
What do you mean?
Well, even when you were back on Mark Sargent's show and I was listening to you, you say things, but you don't necessarily explain them.
You said that to me the very first time I called into you guys, and you guys are like, we only understood maybe a half of what you said, but okay. But something like that.
But I think you do that on purpose, though, because if you don't understand it, then it's not going to mean much to you. But if you do, then it will. And if you don't get it, then the time will come. I mean, you operate on a level that's a lot like my personality and my sense of humor. It's a little dark. It's a little twisted at times.
It's dark, it's twisted, and it's cryptic for a reason. I mean, you know what it is? It's not supposed to challenge or dominate anybody's position or ego because, like I said, I truly believe at the end of the day, everybody's in this together. We all have a piece of the truth. More importantly, we all have a piece of divinity within us. And if we could find that within one another, that's where love exists. That's why I can say to you guys, I love you. I love you, Josh. I love you, Walt. I love you, Zach. I mean, I can say that and mean it. I don't have to agree with everything. I don't even have to have your life experiences, but I know that you're real. I know you're my brothers. I know that I love you.
Well, I love you too, Jonathan.
I got you, brother. Love you.
And I really do appreciate your free. I know there's a lot of people that can find you a bit brash and abrasive.
Asshole.
Yeah. Absolutely. and I think it's because you are willing to still be you, but you'll just, when you say a joke, I think a lot of people don't realize that you're joking because you have such a kind of a dry sense of humor and you just, and you slip it right into the conversation. So unless they can have that same sense of humor to realize, to be able to identify the joke for what it is, you just come off like a dick. But I think that's why I appreciate your sense of humor so much, is because maybe 80% of the time I can tell when you're joking.
And I've had people tell me, only after getting to know me for a time, the same exact sentiment. They're like, dude, when I first met you, I thought you were a jerk off. I thought you were this, that. I thought you were arrogant. I thought you were this. And then I realized what you were doing. Like, you were getting people to come out of themselves. Like, you were being self-deprecating. You were playing that role in order to get people's angst, but to deflect, to be able to, so that they weren't the target, especially shy people. Look, if I come in and I act the fool and I'm the jerk off and I do the unpopular thing, that kind of gives everybody like the metric to say, well, I can't possibly set the bar that low. So what I have to say is valid. I'm not going to look at it like a fool like this guy. You know what I'm saying? It just gets people to open up and speak. But yeah. But you're right. I do it too subtly and too dry sometimes, and it could come off a little harsh to some people. Down south, I'll tell you, down here, they're not ready for my New Jersey humor and that quick wit and stuff.
No, I bet not.
Oh my God. I have these waitresses and everybody else like, oh my God, I thought you were serious. Because they'll be like, would you like some dessert with us? Like, why? Because I'm fat? I was like, seriously? I was like, no, I didn't mean it like that. It's not, I get it. I know I'm fat. It's like, look, my eyes are bigger than my stomach. My stomach's pretty big. Okay, sure. Bring me the friggin' dessert. Go ahead. And they're just like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I was like, no, I'm just messing with you. And they're just like, that's messed up. But listen, once we get out of our own way and we get to the root level, and look, that takes time with people. I think that's part of it too. I get into people really quick. I get inside their real true self. But, those are things that we don't do normally because it takes time to build up that trust, right? That intimacy with somebody, and to allow yourself to go there and allow themselves to go there. So yeah, people aren't usually ready for that kind of, yeah. But I appreciate that, Josh, because I really respect you. We've talked off air for hours, and I've only come to this show. Don't ask me what led me here. I know it was that one day I woke up and I heard that effing music, and I was just like, what is this menagerie of F?
Mm-hmm. That's us.
That's how I think of you guys. It's a menagerie of fuck. I'll just say it outright. But it's a beautiful thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's a place I feel at home at, man. It's like my mind can think here.
Maybe sauce and start.
Nom 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 nom.
Nom 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 nom.
I hope this last bit, these last 10 minutes, get edited in somehow, because I know we went over the time. I'm looking at the time, but
we're freewheeling, baby. We're in the wind.
That's right.
We have no masters today.
I got nothing better.
But I'm going to check this all. Listen, now that I have downtime and I have a safe place to create from, because some of the shit I went through in the past, I'm literally going to put my nose. Is it nose to the grindstone? I'm gonna.
Yeah,
you can do it that way. Yeah,
I'm gonna seriously put like some things to the test on flat earth theories and whatnot, and I will get the right people pulled in on this. I will pull in some of the big guys that I know from MIT and NASA and all that. Like, I do have connections, and I will put it to them and get some definitive answers for us. And then when we get John O'Hea on, like I said, he knows people like Graham Hancock and everybody else. We'll really get this thing flowing and ask the hard questions. So,
you think they're going to be open to asking those hard questions, though?
Who, his guests, his people?
Yeah, people like Graham Hancock. You think they're going to be able to look far enough?
I can't take an answer coming from a NASA satellite or a NASA probe. That doesn't fly with me, Yeah,
but here's the thing, right? If somebody's polarized in a certain position, right, they have to take that polarized position from the abstract of like what the truth is, right? I mean, there's my truth, there's your truth, and there's the absolute truth. So even if you take the wrong side of it,
there's things you can know, and there's things that you've been told.
Right, but I'm saying if there's somebody,
I want to know what they know.
Well, here's the thing, though. Here's what you got to look for in their language and the way they state things, right? If they're being evasive or they're going to keep towing the company line or whatever that thing is, then you might use them as a negative barometer. Like, there's some people in life I'll use as a negative barometer. And by negative barometer, I mean, like, whatever it is, I do the opposite. Right? It's like polarity, right? When you're looking at a compass, the compass points north. So then you should know negatively, the opposite is south.
Mm-hmm.
So if there's certain people talking and they're defending a certain position, and especially if they're really adamant about the position, if they won't waver, then you know that in that position, then the truth is outside of it. Does that make sense?
It does.
That's it's a weird way of thinking, but this is the way I always think on the periphery. Like whenever they show something in the news and they want us to look here so hard, look everywhere else, because that's when those deals are going on in North Korea or in some third world shit ass country you've never heard of. Like start looking in the fringes of the periphery that they don't want you to look. Right? People don't look at Antarctica because why? Because it's cold there and there's nothing there. No, you should be looking there the most. Like we already know what New York City looks like and acts like, and people do, right? The city that never sleeps. Why look at New York City? That's boring. Like where haven't we looked yet?
I don't know. I think a lot of emphasis is pushed on Antarctica. I think it's the North Poles where we should be looking.
You know what? And I was just going to say that way. It's so funny you say that. Remember, I said, I don't know if I said it to Mark. All right, maybe it was on your show, but I said if the Earth was flat and you played it like a game of Risk, if it was a game board, the same way the UN plays it, if I was going to jockey for position on any piece of real estate, the center point, you create a fortress, you have easy access to any point the quickest from that central point. You can take a better vantage. It's almost like those prisons, those supermax prisons with the center column where the wardens are, and they can see the entire. Now, if you're on the periphery, it's going to take you the longest to get to the furthest to any point where you still have to cover that circumference, the outside edge. But if you're in the center, you can deploy quicker. And if there's underground tunnels and everything like that, I mean, just forget it. The center is where it's at. It's almost, you know what? Here, I'll give you a better example.
Interesting enough,
Yes.
Jonathan, if you took the auroras that you see and drew a circle around with the auroras, making it night all the way around the clock once you see a circle around them, you would see that the auroras circle around Thule Air Force Base in Greenland. So it almost looks like our magnetics, that magnetic portion is circling right over Greenland, which has been an interesting place to watching how Trump and people want to buy Greenland. So just thought that was an interesting side note.
And that's funny too, because isn't there a movie that they didn't put out with Gerard Butler that centers around everybody getting to Greenland for safety? Have you seen the trailer?
Sure. I'm not a movie junkie.
Have you seen you guys haven't seen the trailer for Greenland? They had to pull it. Oh, you should watch that.
Yeah. Bro,
watch the trailer for. I don't want to give it away. Just watch it. You're gonna freak when you see it. But let me add this. I was trying to say with the. What was I saying with the center? Oh, remember the movie Time Bandits?
Oh yeah.
Okay, on that map, where was the most fabulous thing in the whole universe? Do you remember where it was on the map?
I do not. Center, I'm going to guess.
Direct center. The most fabulous object of the entire universe was directly in the center of the map. And yet it wasn't on the map. Because remember when they got to it, they were knocking on that one piece of glass. It was almost like a firmament. And then they broke it, and beyond that is where... that's where evil was. That's where everything was.
So I'm looking at that movie Greenland, and from what I'm seeing, it hasn't been released, but they're going to put it
pushed.
On one of the streamers on the 18th of December. Interesting date.
Cool trailer, though.
Definitely will check it out.
Talks about end of the world kind of things.
Yeah, it definitely does seem to be very pushing the narrative a bit with the skies falling.
Now, Walt, are you able to pull up spaceweather.com on your thing and show the screen?
I'm not the one for sharing screens. Josh?
I could probably do it for sure.
You don't have to work today, Josh?
Nope, I don't. My boss got COVID a couple weeks ago.
Oh, that's right.
So, tomorrow is technically my last day. And then I'm due back on Wednesday or due back on Thursday. But again, I think that's going to be the day we close. So I might have to just take my last little bit of PTO and take the last 2 days of this week off so I can get signed up and moved in and all that good stuff. But no work this morning. We took a little vote there in the chat to see if anybody would be willing to sit through another hour of this menagerie of fuck. And as it turns out, it's the menagerie of fuck that has drawn so many people here. So,
is that right?
Yeah, it looks like we'll be hanging around another hour at least.
Nice. I meant that endearingly. I didn't mean it with any malice or
no. I took it endearingly. Even no matter how you took it, how you meant it, I took it as a compliment because that's a great way of putting it. Maybe not the most eloquent way to put it, but it's a great way to describe it. It's very descriptive and very accurate. So
I also like the word fuckery, but yeah, it's just straight up.
So I learned a new word. There's not very often that I like new words that I learned as much as this one. But if you were to be just completely confused or completely befuddled.
Discombobulated?
No. You would be betwaddled.
What?
Oh, I like betwaddled.
Betwaddled, yeah. Isn't that a great word? To be completely befuddled is to be betwaddled.
Wait, I'm a Scrabble player, man. I never heard this word. Hold on.
See, it's a good word. I hadn't heard of it either.
I just took note.
Oh, I like that a lot. No, I like the word. I don't know if you guys know what a group of sycophants is called.
What?
It's called a claque. Not a clique, but a claque. A CLAQUE.
Like voters.
So they travel in claque.
That's awesome.
And I love it. I know.
Voters are just a claque of sycophants, huh?
Exactly.
Love it.
A person who acts obsequiously towards someone important in order to gain advantage. Oh, there you go. Sycophant. And they're called claques?
Yeah, they travel in claques.
That's interesting.
I
like that.
So. Yeah.
Well, there you go. I learned something new today, and I'm proud of it.
It's important to learn something new. So did you get space weather, Josh? Making you work? He tried to escape.
Not doing that at all. No, let me get that.
You see how quickly that got derailed, and you guys wonder why we can't answer emails?
What happened?
Just trying to get to space weather.
Asked Josh to get for me to share space weather channel to see how things are going, because it does have some interesting information that is very usable there. And I asked Josh to do it, and here we are.
No, the sad thing is I could get off my ass and go the whole 6 feet over to the chair in front of the computer. I know. I'm sitting here on the couch in the office in front of the heater instead of sitting at the desk. And you know what? It's not even cold. It's lovely out.
Oh, remember a couple weeks ago I was telling you guys, did I tell you on air about Bitcoin?
Yes, you did.
Did I say something about that?
Look, before you jump into that, can I just totally do a mea culpa here? Because I was supposed to give you Candy's information so that Candy could come and ask you about some of this Bitcoin stuff. And I told her I would, and I never did.
Me?
Yeah. She asked me to, and I said that I would do it. And Candy, I know you're there in chat. I never gave your information to Jonathan. That is absolutely my fault. So there you go. Just holding myself accountable there. But yeah, please delve into this Bitcoin stuff a little bit. You said it's looking for a big crash here soon, and we should try to short some Bitcoins.
Yeah, I mean, I'm waiting to see where to put it in the short order. I mean, some people are saying it's going to go as high as 20 and exceed it by the end of the year, this year. And I don't know if that's indicative of Trump getting it or not. But my understanding, you see, there's things I want to give out over the air, but I can't yet because I'm under not like an NDA, but I have to, again, it's the whole waiting process. But I promise that I will divulge on this channel what I know. I just joined a big Coinbase, and I've never owned crypto before this because I knew too many things that was being manipulated behind the scenes. But XRP is the direction I'm going. I'm putting all my money in XRP, and I'll say this right now. So it's at like 25 cents per coin, and it's kind of like where some of the others were, at one time. Like, here's the thing. I was telling somebody recently, I said I got into the business of selling used crystal balls because I found that there was a big market for it. Because people were saying, if we had a crystal ball, if I had only known. So, so put your money, and here's the thing, XRP, you can get like 1,250 coins you can get 5,000 coins for $1,250. I mean, that's a reasonable investment, especially considering at a quarter. If it goes up to $5 a share or $20 a share, you've just made a nice nest egg, okay? I'm going to give you that first. I think it's going to go further than that because the argument I've always made about Bitcoin is it a currency or is it a commodity? It's too volatile in the way that people treat it. Some people treat it like a commodity, like gold or silver. Okay, but yet it's being traded at the same time as a monetary means. Now, here's the thing with XRP. they built something into it that I think is truly remarkable. They built in a deflationary cycle, whereas with each transaction, part of that XRP gets destroyed. And if you don't have deflationary cycles in your model of money, you give way to hyperinflation and stagflation and manipulation. So, all right. So anyway, that's one thing. Plus, it also operates different than Bitcoin and Ethereum. That's a whole different thing. The other inside information I have, and I can't reveal my source because this will get me killed, literally killed. But let's just say that Bitcoin is compromised. If I were, how do I say this? If I were to give a public demonstration, and when I get ready to do so, because I might be the face of this thing, I want to do it on something big like Joe Rogan, maybe have Elon Musk there, and take their public key, just from their public key, and prove that it's compromised, something that they said that can't be done. And if I can prove that, then what you're going to see is a wild swing in Bitcoin right away. You're going to see some panic. And at that point, that's when I'll let you guys know to short it, because once that's demonstrated, it should plunge right through the floor and you should make millions and billions of dollars. Now, I don't know if that violates anything, if that's insider trading, considering the means of which I know this to be true. But I don't want to be near ground zero when it happens at the same time. It's like, when you're an accessory to a crime only because you know who did it. So what is that called? Is that being an accessory to murder? If you know who did it and you don't turn them in?
I think so.
Okay, so in this instance, I'm checking with people like right now. I'm trying to see the legality of this. In that, just because I know it's possible doesn't mean that I'm somewhat culpable for it. You know what I mean? If there's, see what I'm saying?
Sure.
If there's a leak in the dam, do you have to report it, or do you just start quietly packing your shit and moving your family away and just not letting people know because,
Or do you start preaching about a coming flood and build this big boat and tell everybody they're all going to die and they should listen to you because there's going to be water coming, taking advantage of information that you have that they don't. And then you could sell them boats and sell them waiters and sell them water wings if you wanted to, whatever the hell you want.
Yeah. And it's funny because the position I was put in, it was kind of put upon me just a couple weeks ago. Again, I can't reveal the sources, and I'm not trying to sensationalize this at all. I'm not trying to make for good radio. But I often think about people that are in the military in a capacity where they are truly patriotic. They're truly convicted by God. They're good Christian people. They have good values, or whatever it is. Even if they're atheist, whatever their values are, they care about other people more than themselves, right? But they're serving a position. They've sworn a duty, an oath, and they're upholding it, right? Because they're honorable people. Now, sometimes they're put into positions where they're privy to certain information that is compartmentalized, that is top secret, that is this, that, or the other. And it might conflict with their own personal moral beliefs, but at the same time, because they are moral people, they have to honor their oath, right? They have to honor their duty, so to speak, because they know that in the revealing of it, it could do more harm than good. So that's the position I now find myself in, is that I'm having a bit of a crisis of conscience in knowing this. If I were to take advantage of it and do what I said I would give to everybody else, the opportunity to make millions and billions on, then yes, from a legality standpoint, I would be arrested immediately by Interpol or somebody like that because it crosses international boundaries. But that's all I can say about that. But XRP would be a safe bet in my estimation for a meager, like I said, $1,250. It gets you 5,000 XRP. That to me is a steal of a deal. And it's one of those things, just like any investment or savings, you put it away, forget you have it, and then turn around later on and find out, just like a 401k or some other stock investment, you're like, holy crap, I'm rich. So is that fair?
Absolutely. Well, again, with the idea that what you're trying to do is minimize a negative impact for a majority of people.
That's going to happen anyway. You know what I'm saying? It's like you don't want to panic people and say, like some people do with Yellowstone, right? It's going to blow, and they prematurely broadcast that message. Now, yeah, of course, a clock that's broken is still correct twice a day, that kind of thing. But in the panic that ensues because you did it that way, you create a lot of damage that could have been averted. So all I'm saying is, if you want to play the Bitcoin game, and it could ride up even double what it is now, if you just look at how much it's moved in the past few weeks, be my guest. Everybody, risk has its rewards, of course, if you're in that kind of position. If you're not, if you're living paycheck to paycheck, I would not go that route. I think that's a very dangerous, reckless thing to do, especially if you have kids and a family and everything else. But again, for $1,250, all I'm going to say is, look, I know people piss away more money just even going out for sushi on a good weekend with friends. Sushi and vodka tonics, you could piss off $150. Chicken wings, whatever. Going to a football tailgating party. There's so many ways to blow $150. You see what I'm saying? So just take it a couple steps out, and yeah, $1,250. Okay, you've invested in a good mattress, or you see what I'm saying?
Absolutely,
it's something that you should.
Okay,
yeah.
So here's what I have to ask, and I've asked it of a lot of people over and over and over. Okay, well, actually, it's a two-part question. So we know this is coming. We're not dumb. We've all known all of these things are coming. That at some point, all this fiat bullshit's just going to evaporate. They're going to kill it, whatever they're going to do. So then,
Great Economic Reset. It's on YouTube right now.
That's what I'm saying. We know this is not a like, oh, maybe a tinfoil hat bullshit. No, it's written out. We've seen the plans. So that's great. Change over to electrofacial recognition currency, whatever the fuck. And then you got it. You're ahead of the game because we've jumped ahead of the game. But what happens when they just EMP the fuck out of this place and it doesn't matter anymore at all? Or is this a get in and get out, hurry and make your money?
That's exactly what it is.
Something liquid, or what the fuck? Because at some point, none of this is going to matter.
What I was just going to say is all this is being done because it's a transfer of wealth. What we're seeing right now is all transfer of wealth. They're eliminating, they're hollowing out the middle class. I mean, this COVID did enough damage the world over for that. But what I'm saying is if you can make your profits and not give way to greed and try to wait even longer, let's say you bought Bitcoin at 2,000, now would be a great time to sell. All right. Of course, if it goes to 20,000, you can have two mindsets. You could say, oh, I lost this much money, the difference between 15 and 20,000, or you could look back and say, I really made 6 times my amount. If I were you, I would sell now to be prudent, to be safe. Start buying land, start buying supplies, start buying the tangible things that they can't take away once the EMP hits, right? Be prepared.
Buy seeds.
Buy seeds, yeah, heirloom seeds, absolutely. But what I'm saying is you saw what happened with the whole toilet paper crisis earlier this year, right? If you wanted the value of your house to go up, all you needed to do is get your hands on a 12-pack of toilet paper and toilet paper your house. It would have been $1 million home. But you know what I'm saying? But like you said, well, get in, get out, because what they're going to do, they're going to do. And it's a matter of who's positioned where. Again, luck of the draw. Some people get lucky. Some people have dumb luck. Some people are in the right place at the right time. And we don't know where the total fallout's going to be. Sometimes I think, look, if it's a flood situation like Edgar Casey predicted and the U.S. Navy map is accurate, then yeah, living in Colorado is going to be a great place to be. Living in Florida over here, all I know is I'm going to hijack a yacht. Okay, I'm
sitting right in the middle of the Mississippi widening. What are you telling me? I'm ready to sell any day now. Fucking A.
Yeah, but you know damn well I'm going to go take a boat because there's plenty of boats in the harbor, and most of those are owned by old people that'll never get down there. So I'm going to take a boat.
My best buddy is the tugboat captain. I told him come pick me up when it goes down, brother. So I'm ready.
Yep, toot. But no, that's the thing. And then God forbid Yellowstone blows up. So now all of a sudden, yeah, you're safe. Maybe I'm safer out here in Florida when Yellowstone blows. Maybe now, again, I get another boat, but now I head south, right? So it's like we don't know what event is on the event horizon. We don't know, but we do know something major is coming. A lot of us feel it in our gut. We know that these crazies that run the New World Order already have it in their plans to depopulate and have other plans. I mean, look at why would Bill Gates have created a seed vault with all the heirloom seeds and all the supposed DNA of every creature on the planet and so on and so forth? And not for nothing, somebody just put out a 3-hour video about how Microsoft was all fabricated, that Bill Gates was nothing more than a figurehead and so on and so forth. And the research is quite compelling. But all I'm saying about the Bitcoin currency thing is I've never been intrigued or interested in it. The idea that there was this Satoshi Nakamoto guy was all bullshit back in 2009 because everybody who's ever laid claim to something remarkable, like Elon Musk or Bill Gates or Steve Jobs, there was always a figurehead, right? Here they made this like mysterious character who was gonna, people were gonna have one up on the government. Nobody would know your transactions, and it was kind of be like cool to be, you'd have Bitcoin and be part of the dark web society. And yeah, that's all bullshit. That's all theater. They put that Bitcoin out there. This was all designed by ARPA and all that crap. And they put it out there for all the nerds and everybody else to figure it out, to test every iteration of it, and now they're going to release their government approved cryptocurrency. They're going to collapse the whole crypto market and make something new and improved. It's not going to be just SHA-256 or SHA-512. Trust me, like what I'm apprised of, if they pull this off, or if I go on air, if I wind up being the one that pulls it off, I'm going to be hated the world over. They'll just be like, you son of a bitch. But there's people that are doing it. I've seen it. I've seen proof of concept, and it scares the living shit out of me. Yeah. Because you figure like this, when they build a computer or a supercomputer or anything like that, and they tell you it's indestructible, it's this, that, or the other, there's some programmer who's kind of disgruntled, right? He didn't get the respect he deserved or she didn't deserve. And they always build in those backdoor keys, that extra set of passwords they were supposed to destroy. Mm-hmm. I did the same thing at Verizon. I'll say it on air. I don't give a shit. Right? Statute of limitations run out. They used to give me these like universal passwords that only the manufacturers had, like Nortel or any of these systems. And they'd be like, this is a one-use only password. And I'm like, oh, yeah, of course. Shit, I had a list of passwords to everybody's computer like you wouldn't believe. And so,
come and go as you pleased, if that was something you wanted to do.
Well, I'll tell you this one story. This is funny. Our team kind of like we knocked out operator services from Washington, D.C. down through wherever. Like 300 operator services were out. It was a mess. It was a fiasco. It was FCC reportable. And so I knew our team was going to take the hit, and I'm praying to Jesus. It's like, listen, I know you know about man's heart, men's souls, but I don't think you know a damn thing about fiber optics, but I need your help. And I'll tell you what, when this thing went down, within 45 seconds, we had a call from my boss. Within 2 minutes of that, we had a call from his director. Within 5 minutes, we had the FCC and half of Nortel on this thing. It was this big of a down, right? This whole system went down. So I immediately got in there. I had the password from an old use, and I got in there and I cleared the logs. And then as these guys were doing the analysis, they said, well, let's just look at the logs and see what actually happened. And there were no logs to look at, right? So there was no plausible deniability. Like we never touched it. And so one of the guys, you hear him on the conference, he's like, well, he goes, maybe the logs got corrupted when the system went down. I was like, yeah, I think that's what happened.
That must have been it.
That must have been it. But to this day, like I know what really went down. I know what was done, said. I know who lit the fuse. And I'll say this much, it wasn't me. But then again, the question remains, am I culpable, or am I, can I be legally at that time, I'm saying, but I've been held responsible for being a witness by not admitting to it. So, yeah.
Thank God for the statute of limitations.
Thank God. You know what's funny about the statute of limitations on murder? Like there is no statute of limitations on murder. Mm-hmm. But there's also no statute of limitation on the premeditation of murder. So all I'm going to say is when you have plenty of time to meditate on who you're going to murder, just know that the longer you premeditate, the less your prison sentence is on the other side of that action.
I'm not sure that's how that works.
No, really, the older I get, the more attractive murder gets. Because, life in prison it's not that long the older you get.
Right.
So figure around 65, 70, Jonathan from Jersey might, if this peace thing doesn't work out, I'm going to go postal. I want 3 meals in a cot where I don't have to work for it at 70 years old.
3 hots in a cot. I'm going to retire at 45.
That's my pension. I mean, what guy's going to want to nail a 70-year-old guy in the ass? I'm not worried. They're going to go after the twinks.
I mean, everybody's got a thing,
No, I ain't working out. What are you kidding me? You think I want to look good at 70? No.
So what, you're just going to be a large guy? Big, tall, and hairy? Yeah. There's no gays that like that kind of guy. There's no bears out there that are just thinking, you know what? I just want to look like Jonathan from Jersey, because that's the kind of
Hey, look, at that point, Jonathan from Jersey is going to go to like a 6-month all-you-can-eat buffet and cocaine binge, right, in some casino in like Southeast Asia. And when they extradite me for my crimes, I'm going to be like 550 pounds, right? Like, no guy's going to want to get with that.
I'm just dead weight that shit. You can extradite me, but I'm not helping. I got bad knees now.
Like I said, Josh, our humor is too dark.
Yeah, that's twisted. It's for sure.
It's twisted. But that's we're talking about extremes here. Anyway, how'd we go on that tangent?
You know what?
You're listening to a very special extended Ironworx on high frequency.
Off the grid. Cammie kind of just shut up. She's like, I ain't taking a part in this.
Just listening in the background, thinking about more coffee, maybe. I don't know if there's going to be enough coffee.
There's not enough.
Yeah, I've already gone for 2 more, so shit, I'll be jittery.
There's not enough coffee that Juan Valdez can procure to kind of take the edge off this morning group.
I tend to agree with that, but I'm going to try.
Yeah, I'm going to try too. In fact, I'm going to play this right here just to get us back in the mood of being conditioned and programmed here on the Ironworx, and I'm going to go grab some fresh coffee.
Right on.
Just because I got the power.
Good morning. I'm here. Wake up. Wake up. Wake up.
Go to get coffee. I'll be back.
What is dark matter?
Okay, we don't know.
That's great. That's why it's called dark.
It's exactly.
Everyone knows all reputable information comes from random people on the internet. Tell me things, internet. The Earth is flat. It's like school in your hand.
Okay, dark matter is something we do not know what it is. We believe that dark matter is there, but we have never detected it. Well, what I'm afraid of course, is that there is no dark matter out there.
There was one?
There is no dark matter out there. We need to think really hard,
Here's a message of importance to millions of people who are continually pale and washed out, weak and run down. Doctors will tell you that these conditions are often caused by a deficiency of iron. The iron you need to keep you physically fit and mentally alert. Medical studies show that 2 out of 3 women and many, many men lack the daily iron your body requires in a form your body can easily use and put to work. Every dose gives you more than your daily minimum iron requirement.
We are awake, we are awake, we are not alone. We are striving for more.
So if you're not getting the iron your body needs, if you feel weak, run down, and are easily upset, start taking iron today.
Savage! Wake up!
How dare you?
I am properly caffeinated.
You did that quickly, sir. I was about to get ready to share screen and play some music if you weren't back.
Oh, well, you're more than welcome to play some music if you're so
I was
inclined.
struggling. earlier when I tried to do anything. So I don't want to do it if I don't have to.
Right on. Welcome back to the
I am
Ironworks.
going today and drop my computer off though, so there is that.
That was something I did want to ask. I was just thinking upstairs making coffee. Seems like there's...
Yeah, we were going to do it yesterday, but we had to go to a other thing, dentist appointment for her that I've forgotten it was coming up Monday, so we're doing it today. So we'll know at least later today what's going to happen. We may not have a solution yet, but we'll have a direction. How about that?
Well, good.
Hope.
Jonathan, can you believe that we're still trying to get that damn computer up and running and working? A year later, it's still almost...
He may not have gotten back from his coffee ride.
He's
not used to that quick run we're used to it.
He probably fell asleep.
3-minute intervals.
Probably just nodded off right there at the computer.
I doubt it. That dude's on pure adrenaline right now.
All right, I'm back.
There he is.
There he is. So I just asked you before you got back if you can believe the fact that Walt is just now getting that computer up there to a repairman to try to figure out what the hell is wrong with it.
Are you sure?
I need local governments, and when I got back from Oregon, it was pretty much the end of the world here, so I wasn't going to drop it off at the big box bullshit store for a build just to see what they might do for $500.
What, Best Buy?
Yeah.
How much are they charging you?
When I looked it up, it was $100 to drop it off and them to do anything.
Just to troubleshoot it
for $100.
No, them to start looking into then it costing you $400 and $500 for them to start putting shit in your computer or fixing your computer. That's just the diagnostic.
But wait a minute, that's what I understand. Like, we had a good video card in there. We had everything.
Dude, I know everything you're
New
saying.
Power supply.
Everything. Trust me. We've gotten it all great, except now it overheats and my mic won't work on it. And that's been for a year. I've been trying to figure out
where all those USB resources have disappeared to.
What?
Yep. I've done every reset, redo, clean this, go back to that, undo this, pop that, take this out. No, that's not it. Let's go into the DAW. I mean, yeah, dude, I've done it all. It's just not happening. So I'm taking it to someone.
You know what's weird? My computer here is working better than ever. I had some problems, and then as soon as I got settled here, everything just literally started working again perfectly. And I'm still using the same computer since the end of 2012. It runs at 5 gigahertz on air, 3930K processor, 32 gigs of RAM, and it just goes. And
maybe computers are like we are. Maybe they are bioregional. Their electromagnetic frequency comes to life in a certain area, and if you move it out of that area, it starts acting wonky. And maybe that's what it is.
I've thought that
too. Do you know? Yeah, go ahead.
I was just agreeing with Walt that I've considered that fact too. That or just people, the combination of the two, the people and the environment, just makes the machines run differently.
The people's a part of it, and I'll tell you what, if you believe in feng shui, there are times when you have a true feng shui master come through your place and chart it because they look at the directions and stuff like that.
A feng shui master in my house would have a nervous breakdown.
Well, but let me tell you, there's times I've seen incidents. Give you an example. I knew somebody who had a house, and the bad feng shui was that they were literally at the end of a street. So it was a main intersection, like a T intersection, right, where the road ran into a two-way left or right. But their house was at the end of it. And there was all this chi coming in through the front door. It was just too much of the cars and the energy. So the chi master came in and wound up having them build something like a shrubbery and redirecting the path from where they would enter into the house. And it changed the whole flow of energy coming up directly into the house. Another time I read a story where a person had health problems in the house, and it was aspected to the way where the bedrooms were situated and such. And this guy goes out and he taps in this big iron rod into the ground. At a certain point, he figured out where to go, and all the person's health things went away. So for some people it sounds like pseudoscience. For other people it sounds like mythical bullshit. But the fact that we're connected to the elements, that we are elementals ourselves, mostly water and other minerals, there's definitely something to it.
Well, I actually made sure when it got here that I welcomed it into the house with a lot of positivity and good energy and accepting.
When I first sent it?
Yeah, when it got here, yeah, that was way back. Shit, year plus now.
Wait a minute. Who's your box wasn't open, right? It was Josh's
No,
box.
Josh's one that was bent and open or something had been banged with a hammer or some shit. It looked like
But the box was intact. That's the part I can't figure out.
Yeah, the box was unmarked completely, but a big old dent in it, in the side.
And I didn't send it to you that way. I would like, yeah.
Well, that's the big confusing thing about Walt's computer too, is that there is no doubt in my mind it was running like a champ when you took it up to UPS and said, "Here, ship this." But
You saw the pictures I took, right? Or the
Yeah.
video. I showed the screen. I saw the web. I tested it. I ran it through the yeah.
That's
I
why
added
it's
the power supply.
really strange that when Walt gets it, it's damn near unusable.
Yeah, it doesn't even. I mean, that doesn't. Even if you were to just receipt like things that could have got jostled in transport, like
Yeah.
whenever I get a
We
computer,
did all that. Eventually, we did all that because remember it got here beeping. I'm sure everybody wants to hear all this on the air. Sorry, guys, we didn't mean to devolve into Walt's Diagnostic Center here, but yeah, it got here beeping without even powering up. Remember, we had to decode what the beeps meant and all that crap.
Oh yeah,
We
you had
to
5
call
beeps.
and yeah, so.
That's another funny thing. My motherboard on this machine, I built such a killer rig that I was so far ahead, like 3 years in planning. I have like an actual digital LED readout on my motherboard along with codes. Like it'll actually come up with numbers in LED that'll tell you what the problem is, what the fault is. So that's helpful. But I've never had any faults, thank God. It always goes great.
Wow, like a diagnostic thing you hook up on your car almost.
Yeah, this thing will actually generate a number and just trace it out. And
I think that's what they're going to do where I'm taking it because what they told me is they're going to hook it up to so they'll look at it physically and probably be able to tell me a lot through that, but they're going to hook it up to something that's going to go
you know
through
what they're
it.
going to do? They're going to be like, here's the problem. Somebody dropped a sewing needle has been wedged between these two contacts.
That's probably what it's going to be. Remember there was a screw that we couldn't find on one of the back plate areas?
Yeah.
That's probably what it's going to be, although I did look and shook and try
I've
to
seen that
pull it
happen.
up.
I've seen
Oh, I know. That's one of the
get
that's what it's
wedged on a
going to be.
motherboard in a place that was not noticeable to the eye and creating a short across contacts. Huh.
We'll see. We'll find out today.
Interesting.
Tis weird.
I believe, I'll tell you what, though, I do believe that machinery has a certain consciousness. It's like, do androids dream of electric sheep? Where's that from? Anybody know it? Come on, you guys know it. I know you know it.
I'm the biggest Philip K. Dick fan there is.
But what do the lay people know it as?
What did it turn into? I don't know. That is today's trivia question presented by Jeff Roger. If you guys
Anybody in the
get it
room want to
correct-
answer that?
If you get it correct in chat, you will get a link to an awesome video that nobody else can see.
It is, right? Do androids dream of electric sheep?
That's
the
right.
one.
Yep. We could provide a link to the very first Have No Sphere show.
Right? Nope, that is not correct, Billing Tano. It is not Ghost in the Machine. Although that's an excellent movie.
I still got it as far as movie trivia goes.
Oh, I know what it is. I'm just not going to say it because I don't want to spoil it. Like I said, I'm a huge. He was the first person to ever put forth the idea that we live in a computer simulation. It was at a French sci-fi convention back in like '79.
It was probably
or some
right
shit.
after he realized the Earth is flat.
No shit. Wait, what we got? Arwen's got something.
Arwen's talking about a program that used to create fractals.
You're correct.
I'll tell you, here's a good argument for the flat Earth. You ready?
Yes.
What are we always staring at as now that our regular basis of life every day, every moment? We're always staring at what? A flat screen.
Flat screen, yeah.
Right? So whether it's in our hands, like a phone, or the computer monitor, but the environment that's within it is what? I mean, even the TVs we watch, these high def 4K, 8K, TVs you can get now at Costco for $400, right? A full 60-inch flat screen panel. Okay, why are they making it that ultra K? What does that give you? It gives you depth, right? It makes the experience more 3D, more realistic. So here we have a 2D plane. We know it's 2D, right? If you go to the side of the TV, you can see that it's flat. You can see that it's a bunch of LEDs that are projecting. And yet when you're sitting right in front of it, you're immersed into this 3D environment. So what I'm saying is, isn't it interesting how man mirrors nature in a synthetic way to then create a construct that is anything but nature, but anything but natural, but an artificial construct? We're deliberately tricking ourselves and our eyes to look at a flat panel screen on our wall to emulate what we can just simply do by walking out the front fucking door and sitting in nature itself. So you don't think the universe or whoever put us here in this construct didn't do the same with the flat plane on the horizontal? We control the horizontal and the vertical. Remember that?
I do indeed, sir.
Welcome to the Twilight Zone. Did
Yeah,
anybody get the
that
answer?
was actually the outer limits.
Oh, is it the outer limits?
Yeah, that was the outer limits, controlling your vertical.
You're right. Yeah, we control the. Yeah, that's right. Outer limits. I'm sorry. You're right.
Yeah. Do not attempt to. What is it?
Right.
Do not attempt to fix your television.
Attempt to adjust yourself.
Do not attempt to fix Walt's computer.
Yeah, no shit. That's gonna be bad. That'll be bad.
So Daz
Yeah,
got the answer.
Irwin.
Daz
Zach.
got the answer in chat.
Did he Google it or did he get it? Get it?
I
Yeah,
think
he knew
Daz
that.
got it.
I knew Daz once he got the question.
The question
There you
was, do androids dream of electric sheep would go on to be better known by what name?
Now here's one that I got one for you, Jeff Roger. We can remember it for you wholesale. Became what?
Ooh.
Wait, what was that?
We can remember it for you wholesale. I know Darren knows because he read the books. Yeah, We Can Remember It For You Wholesale became a movie that everybody probably knows if you're at least our age.
I actually don't know that one. You got me on that one.
Is it Arnold Schwarzenegger? No?
Get your house to malls.
Yeah.
Yeah, Total Recall.
Get ready for a surprise.
Oh, there you go.
Yep.
All right, Daz, keep an eye on Patreon, and I will drop you a link to the very first Have No Sphere episode. It's going to be given to the rest of the Patreons at some point. I've just got to finish up my Crow 777 video, and I've got a couple other videos just waiting for our patrons over there on Patreon. So I'm actually getting ahead of the schedule for editing
now,
videos.
is this the one with the jump and with Cal? Oh, that's awesome.
Sure is.
Oh, guys, you want to hear something funny?
Hell yes, every time.
I just did a refresh on my screen here. I had I put BTC price, right, on Google. So when I was talking earlier about 25 minutes ago, it was at 15,390 per coin.
Mm-hmm.
I did refresh. It just dropped down to $15,270. So there's $120 volatility in just, for who knows what reason. But I'm like, maybe they're listening to this radio show. Maybe it's on its way down this morning.
Well, it's probably the blockchain all tied into the AI, just giving direct reports.
Well, I just heard an attorney general of some state, they just removed $1 trillion worth of Bitcoin.
I saw that.
1 trillion?
Yeah, 1 trillion. So yeah, it's already rigged and fixed. They already have their hand in it, and they have, I think it's over 65% of Bitcoin is owned by a government agency.
I did read something like that.
So yeah, they already have it under control. Seeds, bullets, knowledge, buy books.
Yeah, I'm convinced the whole COVID thing was an attempt to minimize the amount of people that are going to be withdrawing from Social Security, since all that Social Security money was supposed to have been put in there, in those accounts, and then not touched, so that they could just make bank off the interest. But I think they've had to delve into those accounts and drained everybody's Social Security, which is unlawful, according to how the Social Security was written up. So I think they're killing off a bunch of old people to minimize the withdrawals from Social Security to try to spread that out across the rest of the way.
That's a good point.
And then, what were we talking about just before that? Because I was trying to wrap up a some points that were in my brain. What were you guys just talking about?
Seeds, bullets.
Seeds and bullets. Yeah, it wouldn't at all surprise me if all this crazy election nonsense every 4 years, it seems like, is just more of the military-industrial complex with their fingers in the firearms business and the bullets. They're just selling bullets and guns hand over fist. I don't care how much money Amazon has made this year for COVID or how much anybody has made. I guarantee you arms manufacturers are making way more money. They are selling guns and ammo like it's going out of style because, you know, if Biden takes office, it will be going out of style. But it was the same thing with Obama. It's every little thing just seems to trigger gun sales and ammo sales. That's where the money's at. That being said, I do have my lower builds bought. I have yet to buy my upper builds, but I will have my nice 2 AR-15s unregistered, tucked nicely away where no one will be able to find them but the wife and I.
And I think we're programmed to buy seeds and ammo and stuff like that around this time. I mean, The Simpsons showed a great example of that. It showed Homer voting for Biden, and he went and took a nap in the backyard, and he dreamt about, I think it was January 20th, 2021, and there was giant robots like RoboCop, the big giant one, in the street killing people, and Homer's sitting up on his roof with like cheese graters tied to his arm for armor, holding the shotgun, and everything's on fire. I mean, it doesn't get much more programming than that. Go buy your guns and everything now, because after Biden takes election, everything's falling apart.
And they said the same thing for Obama. It's like people don't remember because it was so long ago, but there was just as much fear when President Obama was taking his first oath of office that he was going to be this big socialist dictator. He was never going to leave once he got in, that once Obama went in, he's just a socialist light. The country was doomed, will never be the same. It's end game. It's the end game if Obama takes office. And it wasn't. And it won't be for Biden or Trump, regardless of which puppet gets in there.
In the Senate when Obama started, they could have done anything they wanted. The Democrats had all of it, and they said, "Oh, we're gonna." This is what they told their constituents to settle down. Well, now that we're in charge, we're gonna try to get along with them and make this as a peaceful of a. And everything stayed the same. There was no.
Well, you know what's funny? Did you see the quote of the day? It was made by Donald Trump. Donald's younger son. Was it Eric? But he made a statement. He says, for 4 years, the Democrats tried to convince us that Russia meddled in the election process, right, in the voting process, and then now they're telling us the elections can't be rigged, right? So there's all this talk now about the rigging and all these crazy votes. But it's like, here it is, and it's like, if you remember back what happened in 2000 with the Chads, all those hanging Chads, and I think Gore was declared the winner for 39 days in total before it was flipped, and Bush finally won. So
37.
This isn't unprecedented.
Yeah, no, I think it was
mainstream media.
37 days, I think, but yeah,
37 days,
not unprecedented at all.
Is saying now this is unprecedented. No, it happened back in 2000, but people have a short memory, short attention span, and even shorter memory. So I don't know.
Nope, I'm right there with you. I'm just watching all this shit play out, and what can you do? I mean, you can't convince people that they don't need to have a fucking leader.
I get it, man. I get it.
And if they are convinced, you can't convince them that you don't need their leader. It's just beyond me. I don't know.
Here's the thing, though, and I got to ask you guys. I don't know what your upbringing was or what your spiritual bend is or when you came into yourself that I know you now. But I was never a conformist. I was never a flag waver, patriot. I never rah-rahed for any teams. Never had a team. It was always Team Jonathan. It was just like a lone wolf kind of thing. But like, I'm curious. Like, did you guys ever have that mindset? Did you ever stand for something with blind faith in it?
Oh yeah.
I was in the KISS Army.
Oh well, that's awesome. Knights and Secrets in Satan's Service, of course.
And that was about it for me. After that, I pretty much was done with enlisting or consenting.
What about you, Josh?
I've always, my mom has always said this, that I've always, since a baby, sort of marched to the beat of my own drum.
Mm-hmm.
And as much as they can appreciate the novelty of it and the uniqueness of the individuality of me being able to march to the beat of my own drum, they didn't really like the real world effects of that.
The repercussions.
Right.
My dad the same way. He used to say to me, when are you going to shut up and learn to get along, to go along to get along kind of thing? And I said, never.
And I always struggled with that, and it got me in a lot of trouble. And it sort of split my psyche, where I'm struggling to make my parents happy and fit into society and be, the quote unquote productive member of society, versus everything in my subconscious and my brain is screaming at me that it's wrong. So there was a time that 17 years old, I signed up for the Marine Corps. I was going to go and...
Oh, that's right. You were a Marine.
Yeah.
I forgot. Mad respect. Thanks for your service.
I was in for a year. I didn't do jack shit.
Don't.
Well, still, you went.
Yeah. I went because I wanted to go to college. And I was about 3 months away from shipping out when my drama teacher told me that she had given some of my tapes to her professor at the local university and that they were offering me a full ride scholarship for performance theater. So then I tried to get out of going to the Marine Corps because that's not really where my heart was.
So wait, you left the Marines to be a poof in theater? Really?
Sort of.
I'm teasing.
I was a poof in theater, and then thinking that there was no way that that's going to ever do anything. It was just something that kept me out of trouble. I was drinking less if I was in theater.
Oh, that's cool.
But I was just a bad influence on the drama kids is all that was. But yeah.
That's funny.
Didn't see it going anywhere. It was just something that was kind of fun. But then I guess I impressed the drama teacher so much, she sent it off to her professor, got me the scholarship. I tried to get out of going to the Marine Corps. The Marines said, nope, sorry, you signed on the dotted line. We're not going to let you out of this contract. You're fucked. You got to go to California. So not knowing any better.
Camp Pendleton?
Mm-hmm.
Camp Pendleton? Yeah, that's a pain in the ass.
MCRD. I was in Camp Pendleton is where I did my advanced infantry training. But it's just due north of MCRD San Diego, which is
I know where it is. Yeah.
Did my boot camp.
Yeah.
I was a Hollywood Marine. But even then they held my scholarship. And so when I got out of the Marine Corps, I tried college, and I was still rebelling against.
She didn't have to go to Paris Island. I hear Camp Pendleton's a lot easier than
what, Camp Lejeune?
Yeah. Well, again, not really Camp Lejeune, but it's the Marine Corps recruit depot that's out there. But yeah, Paris Island's same general area. It's the original Marine Corps recruit depot. It's the oldest. That's where they even have the females. Although WMs, the women Marines, they do their boot camp there. Paris Island.
Interesting. But yeah, no. So wait, so Walt wasn't a conformist. You weren't a conformist. What about you, Zach?
No, the only thing that started to get me to conform was basketball. I always played basketball, and then I played youth basketball, but it wasn't really, it was, just playing basketball with different kids.
Mm-hmm.
There was no conformity to it. And as soon as they started with the whole, you're going to run this play, you're going to run that play, you're going to do this,
right?
That jive with me. And I never played again after that. And I hated the varsity coach. I did not like the man. We had one senior in my high school graduating class that played basketball. That was it. We would have had an awesome team, but nobody wanted to play for this guy.
Wow. Well, here,
No, I was going to join the Army, but because of my lung, they wouldn't take me.
yeah.
And then I tried the Air Force, and they wouldn't take me. But that was more of a career thing. That wasn't, I know they would have tried and probably would have succeeded back then of getting that, brotherhood, rah, rah, rah. But no, I've never joined any type of group ever. Yeah, I found the Beatles when I was 14, and that was it. There was no conforming me.
Yeah, and I don't want to make it sound like I'm trying to put it down or it's a bad thing. I mean, there's something to be said for morale, whether it's team spirit on a team. I mean, you have to have morale in order to have a winning spirit. Same thing with business, but you have to have the right synergy of people that are on board with the same mindset and philosophy, right? So you have to be you have to truly believe in the mission statement or truly believe. Otherwise, it doesn't work. Right? When you have that, so like us, we come together, we're of a certain mindset. That's why we gel, of course, right? People the flat earth the same way and so on and so forth. So I always admired that. I always wondered, why am I on the outside? What am I missing here? How come I have this, am I antisocial kind of thing? I was always questioning. But then another part of me, this itch, if you want to call it, the spiritual side, whatever this was telling me, no, man, no, like, you got there was something deeper that was telling me that something was off, something was wrong. I was always looking at shit like my mom even said the day I was born, right out of her vag, and I'm like looking around, my eyes are wide open. They wiped the goo off me, and I'm looking around. She said, "You look terrified." I said, "What do you mean?" She said, "Yeah, they were holding you up, and you're looking around like your eyes were darting around the room." I said, "Kids can't see. Supposedly babies can't see. Like our eyes don't come into focus."
Mm-hmm.
But I guess it's like when you take like somebody, like when you drown them, where you half drown them, and then they first take that first gulp of air, and they're looking around. They're not really looking. They're kind of just, can't believe they're still alive. They didn't drown, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So here I am, my mom's saying, "Yeah, that's what it looked like. You had this look of terror on your face." And I remember thinking, "Holy shit, this kid's an old soul. He's probably surprised that he's back here." My mom was kind of funny like that. She had a deep sense of, she had a very bohemian spirit, and she's somebody who never got to explore that. That was probably the most cathartic and peaceful thing I had with her to make peace was to hear her story. Yeah, she was dying, her last couple months,
mm-hmm.
and the things that she never shared. And so that's why I'm doing her artwork and all her writings. That's going to be an interesting project. But she said to me back then, she's like, she knew. She says right away, she says, when Davey you were born, she goes, it was snowing. It was, a Tuesday. And I thought, man, this kid's going to come in the world and he's going to fuck things up. He's going to change things here's what she said specifically. She goes, either I'm going to be highly embarrassed and sorry that I had you and probably want to kill you. And I'm like, wow, I was like, talk about Munchausen's. Or you're going to come here into this world to do something great, but it was never going to be normal. She goes, I knew you were never going to be at peace. And I was like, you knew all this and you didn't kill me on the spot? Like you didn't put me out of my misery? But, it was kind of funny that she had that kind of, again, we're men, right? What could we possibly know about having a child and have something growing inside of us? I mean, that's an amazing, beautiful thing.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a saying.
Speak for yourself.
Oh, I forgot Cammy's on the line.
It ain't that beautiful.
Well,
Go ahead.
No, you just totally shut me down. That I don't even know what to say to that. I got no comeback for that. Well, I do have a comeback, but I can't say it now on the air.
I'm not rescuing you.
Hey, Josh, you want my comeback?
Do it.
You got to go scrape it off your mother's teeth.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, everybody. Have a great week. This has been the Ironworx.
Shut down
waitresses.
That's as dark as I go.
I missed it.
Anyway, no, what I was going to say is, before Cammy chimed in, the idea that, something so beautiful can grow. Let me ask you this. Wait, Cammy, how many children do you have?
For me, I have one living son.
Okay, I have one son the same, but I've often heard it said by people that have multiple children that every mother hen knows her chicks and how each one of them is so different, right? You can have, I don't know, do you guys come from a bigger family? Do you guys have a lot of brothers or sisters?
I do.
Not me.
No.
I have a brother and a sister.
Okay. So again, you could be raised the same way, same set of rules in the house, same dinner time at 6, same religion, same whatever. Okay, same kind of love. But yet each child, and I don't believe in that whole firstborn, middleborn. No, it's something different. Totally, it's a different dynamic. Each soul is individual. And my mom used to say this too. Every mother hen knows her chicks. So some kids, like me and Josh, dude, we're like dude, you're like a brother from another mother. I mean, me and Walt, a whole different, you know what I'm saying? We're all like brothers here. And Zach, it's like, it's just, you know what I'm saying? But every mother hen knows her chick. So some people need their autonomy and freedom. Some people need to be coddled more, need more help. Some people need more, listening to. Some people need more freedom. The point I'm getting at is if a parent doesn't identify that, you can't raise those kids the same way. And so my mom identified, right? She knew me growing inside her when I came out and I had that look on my face. She said, this was going to be like, I knew. Like I just gave birth to something. I was like, what? Like The Omen was out in the theaters, and you're thinking, here's Damien.
It's
like,
all for you, Jonathan.
Oh my God! Yeah, she jumped out the window and hung herself. That was a great scene, right? That was the scene where his birthday party.
Yeah, his au pair, his nanny does it. Yeah.
Yeah. This is all for you. Yeah, that's a great scene. Oh, God, what a reference! You're better than Mark Sargent with your movie references.
Yeah, that was quick, Josh. That was impressive.
That was really impressive. Oof. And look, and it's funny. You know what's even funnier? That Walt has a fucking noose on his wall right behind his head.
See, you're the only person to have ever called that a noose, and he was really worried that people would look at that and think it's a noose. That's not a noose.
What is it? Oh, is it a lasso for horses?
It's actually a guitar cable that my son did. He took and just did that with it one day. So it's been hanging.
Well, that is a hangman's noose.
Yeah, it's a noose somewhere,
right? Yeah. We used to make them all the time. Yeah.
Slipknot.
It's not a Slipknot?
No, I love Slipknot.
Oh, no, yeah, absolutely. But yeah. So like I said, my mom knew that, but it's funny because my brother, 4.5 years later, talk about a different animal, a different person. I mean, forget, again, horoscope aside or different in age or anything like that. And there were times when my teachers, when I would go through school, once my brother would enter the school, because he was 4.5 younger than me, they'd say, "Oh my God, I thought you were an only child." I'm like, "Why is that? This, like, you and your brother both act like only children." I was like, "That's because of bad parenting. That's because my dad was working, triple shifts, and my mom was kind of checked out, in her own world. And I don't mean like, drugs or alcohol, but might as well have been. She had her depression, and she was an artist, kind of like arrested from that process. She never got to expand on it. So, what was I leading with this? There was a point. Oh, what were we talking about in the beginning about different points of view? And there was something that led into this discussion.
Just being born your own person. And I think instinctively, I mean, I'm a mom at heart and I'm around the kids a lot. And around
you do have a
animals
maternal
lot.
instinct, by the way. You do have, I feel like and I was going to tell you this earlier. When I think of women in the flat earth, if I may, like, I don't really know Karen B. I don't have any beef with her. I kid around a lot because, she filled a spot that I'd started with Mark, and it's good that she's carrying the torch for that because I think she's a good compliment to the program and the show and what she brings. She really is passionate, like, about the society, and she really keeps it together. But I've always felt, and I don't really know you that well, Cammie, we've never really connected like I do with the guys here, but I always felt like you were like a mother figure to the whole group. That's what I picked up. And so, yeah, please continue because I appreciate you.
But I think even all women are that, giving birth or it's just, you don't even need to be a mom. You just need to be around and pay attention to children, that they're all very, very different. They have different skill sets. They're different people. They're the same as adults. They're not molded out of clay and are little tokens. They're born unique souls. And every child is very different. Parents have always, I know that my parents, I grew up with 5 kids, and out of the 5 kids, like weird little quirky things, like I was not allowed to watch scary movies because I got nightmares, but they knew I felt pretty, it was strange. They knew I felt like very, very, like wanting to be older and wanting to be more mature. So they made up for me and actually picked some other R-rated or, higher PG movies that were more romance and things like that, saying, here, you can watch these and the other kids can't watch that. Or again, you make up for it and you find your kids' strengths and find their comfort zones. But you're right, everybody's very much born into it as their own soul.
Yeah, there's something to add to that. Like I said, you don't. It's just like that saying, like any man could be a father, but not every man could be a dad, or something like that. Or, no, any man can father a child, but not every man can be a dad, and it's true. Well, I think inversely, I don't think you necessarily have to have a baby to have a true maternal spirit and even be a better mother than some women are, unfortunately, whether it's hormonal or whatever other difference. I mean, I've seen some women that, again, men are pretty horrific, but even in the animal kingdom, the female of the species, the female line and all that are more ferocious and more, they'll defend their young like no other, right? So women have it in them to fucking kill if they get in that way. And a lot of people that were raised by mothers that had depression and other things have gone through some horrific things, narcissism, whatever it is. It's not easy being a parent. Nobody gives us real true lessons in how to do it. And if it's exacerbated by life circumstances that makes it where somebody shouldn't be a parent, unfortunately, I feel bad for a lot of kids that get raised in that environment and have to go through that crucible to then come out on the other side, hopefully better for it, but it comes at a cost, as I can attest to. I didn't have, my parents, I love my parents, but, they had their own issues and their problems. And it's only in coming to this age now at 48 that I've become more forgiving and accepting, only because I've been through my own stuff. I've made my own mistakes. Thankfully, not as much in my son, but just in myself. And so I can at least admit, and I write this in my book too, I'm self-deprecating to a fault when I tell the story. I point out, like you said, I was an asshole here, or I did this, or I did that, I caused this. So I guess a shout out to all the parents who raised their kids right, the ones that are going to be the future of this world, right? The legacy we leave behind, and the ones that are going to make it for a place where my son can live and play and grow. And I hope to contribute to that. I'll tell you what, these kids that do well, the ones that I see working, whether it's at McDonald's or anywhere else, Walmart, wherever, I always praise them and I say to them, you're doing a great job if it warrants it. And I give them a little kind of like sign of appreciation. And they'll thank me, and I'll say, "Wow, that's so nice." Like, a lot of times, I never hear anything from customers, and I'm just a great, they'll say something. And I'll say, "You know what?" I said, "You're the future." I said, "You realize that?" I said, "You give me hope for my son. You give me hope for what could be." And that's why I'm doing what I'm doing now. I have a change of heart, and I'm not trying to be Jonathan from Jersey and kidding around so much anymore. I meant what I said about the flat Earth. This is a serious topic. I've always thought it was more serious than casual. I always, like I said, I would talk to Mark behind the scenes and tell him, Mark, if you prove this too soon and the world's not ready for it, it's going to create a lot of calamity and a lot of chaos. And I kind of feel the same way, but considering where the New World Order is trying to take things, where I see the trajectory, it's almost like a race, like just like in the movies, when the good guy and the bad guy are on the same trajectory from different perspectives, and it comes down to the wire, and the good guy wins maybe within what do they say, 10th in inches in football, right? James Bond always turns off the timer with 2 seconds.
Yeah.
I really feel like the flat Earth is kind of on that same trajectory. Whereas if it goes wrong, then the whole narrative going into space and all the illusion, everything they've been putting on, it's just like the Matrix or anything else. It's like we're literally at this juncture, conjunction or something. It's coming to a head. And I want to be on the right side of that.
Yes, sir. That's what we're doing here.
I mean, do you feel that, or am I off base?
That's really, truly. I mean, I wrote that down and put it in on my page, and on my.
What'd you put?
I don't have to go back and read it, but just that's kind of like when I put my channel up, it was about, or maybe it's when I set up my Patreon for my channel, just the Flat Earth Head thing, not here at Iron Realm, but that's what it was about, was trying to make a future that our children can live in and not have to be subservient to someone else's ideals.
Well, that was the appeal to me too when I got asked, at the time, the opportunity to be on TFR, Truth Frequency Radio. It's like, yeah, that's exactly what I stood for. So my perception show and my attitude and the way I handle myself, that fit perfect for me. You know, I couldn't be on some of these other stations like Genesis and do the radio spots and all this other bullshit and sell, supplies and things like that. I don't care about that. I just want to get right down to the nitty gritty with the people. But I like the fact that, it's about the truth. Like, what is the truth? And it's subjective, and it's a collective, and But I feel it. I think we all feel it, and I think that's why sometimes it's so hard to put into words, because we get caught up in semantics, we get caught up in politics, we get caught up in emotions. And hey, look it, man. Like, how do you put a hug into words? You can write the best Hallmark card in the world, but nothing beats a hug when it's a heartfelt hug.
Mm-hmm.
Get what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I love hugs. That's my favorite thing. That's why I give the big one, so that whenever we come back through and do that whole life review thing, I get those hugs back again.
Dro, all I'm going to say is the 4 of us should get together, Zach's in, but at least 3 of us right here, like, we should all journey, get a little experience, you know what I'm saying? Like,
I'm ready, bro.
Up or whatever.
I'm ready,
and
bro.
Then we can have a cuddle puddle, we can spoon, no homo, and we can just hug each other.
Tape it down, brother. Tape it down. All right. We need to get out of here. It's been 3 hours.
Yeah, it has been 3 hours.
And on that note,
love you.
No,
friend.
I'm sorry. Pat on the back hugs like a man.
That's right.
We can't all be the big spoon.
Game this weekend. Sports ball.
I'm secure in my sexuality. I'm not afraid.
Love it.
I'm the kind of guy that doesn't come out of a closet. I go in to build it.
That's it. That's it. I'm pulling you in, brother. Come on in. Plenty of room in here. All right.
Jonathan's
we need to go, really.
kicking people into the closet. Hey, no. I'm straight. I'm totally straight.
In a closet. I just put a chandelier up in a very fabulous closet, let me tell you.
Right?
Yeah. Anyway. Hey, listen, guys, it's been a
For
pleasure.
spending time and sharing with us, my friend, truly.
Yeah.
Do it more often.
Hey, thank you, man. Well, I don't mean to capitalize, like I said, but it's always a pleasure to be on your show and to get a chance to talk with you. And I love when people come in and add to the soup. It makes it richer.
It does indeed.
I always think of that. But by the way, one last thing, that story. I think there was a children's story called Stone Soup. Do you know this one?
Oh,
vaguely,
yeah, absolutely.
I think that's a lovely story because it really shows about the intention of what goes into the pot, right? The person only had stone, but he got everybody to contribute a little bit, and then it made it for a tasty, true soup of sharing that big pot.
That story. Love it.
Yeah. All right, on that note.
Yeah, I think we should
Thank
do
you
it.
all.
Love y'all.
It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you, Cammie. Quiet, Cammie.
I'm here.
I know. I'm just giving you crap.
I'm sitting here thinking about
I'm glad
making
you're here,
soup
lady.
now.
We miss having
Kind
you
of
here in the morning. You just don't know. So I'm glad you're starting to wake up. Tell Bob thank you. Thank you, Bobo, that you woke her up this morning.
But by the way, Zach, I want to let you know because we don't always. Sometimes I'm directing my actions towards Josh and Walt only because they're on screen. I see their picture. But trust me, I know you're there, man. You're like a freaking sniper. I consider you backup, like essential backup. Your logistics, you're the AWACS, you're the voice of reason.
Thank you, brother.
You got it, man.
I do my part. I try.
I know you do. I'm acknowledging it.
Awesome.
You're definitely part of the team.
Thank you, everybody in chat. Thank you for all the super chats. Thank you for everybody showing up all through the whole thing. Even if you got here late, thank you for being here. Love you guys so much. Truly, it was great.
Love you all. Hey, Cammie, reach out. Let's get in touch soon.
All right. Sounds good. Peace out, everybody. Have a great, great day.
That's it. It's been another exciting episode of the Ironworks that should be on Truth Frequency Radio, but was not this morning. But thanks anyway. So be sure to head on over here again on Friday morning, and let's just see if we can't get over there on TFRlive.com or truthfrequency.com, as we are most every Tuesday and Friday morning from 4 a.m. to 6 a.m. Central, 10 a.m. to noon Greenwich Mean Time. Josh, Walt, Zach, and Cammie hanging out with Jonathan from Jersey this morning. Thank you guys very much. Be good. Be well. Bye-bye.